pony is its own...
So, what's a baby pony called?
Getting more ways to save. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Keppel here, serial entrepreneur. I hired my first employee in 1988, but I interviewed poorly and didn't provide job training. So 6 hours after she started, I ushered the tearful employee out the door without even putting her on my payroll. Yes, I hired and fired my very first employee on the same day and broke my first payroll law. I was a terrible employer. Years later, I created Patriot Software to help employers with 1 to 100 employees not make mistakes with their payroll. Go to PatriotSoftware.com, use promo code RADIO, and get 2 months of payroll processing free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. There's no better time to upgrade your essential home systems than this month at Hiller. Until the end of May, Hiller is offering 0 interest for 60 months on select new HVAC systems, 0 interest for 12 months on new tankless water heaters, and 0 interest for 12 months on new whole home generators. If you know you need a new system for your home, do it this month. These financing offers are available for a limited time only. You stay comfortable and cool all summer and handle the payments later. Visit happyhiller.com for all the details. As always, Happy will be here. The service is free. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Introducing the first Nashville location of Mayweather Boxing and Fitness in Midtown. Perfect for all fitness levels. Join a community that will help every person unleash their inner champ with fun, effective, and empowering group boxing circuit workouts. Become a founding member today. Stop by the brand new studio in Midtown at 2041 Broadway, Suite C, or call 629-206-9092 to join the family exclusive. Pre-opening rates now available. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness, the gold standard in boxing fitness.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN,
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5. The Game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Caroline Fenton is here today. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, how we doing?
Outstanding. Elijah is in for Ian. Let's just get right down to it, okay?
No need to beat around the bush.
Last night, Predators eliminated in Game 4. And even though the game was kind of close-ish, the game, the series, the two teams, reality, it was never...
The past 2 months?
Never really close. Never really was. It was never close. There was nobody on the Colorado bench yesterday that didn't think they weren't going to win that game. They knew they were going to win the game. The Predators fought hard like they have all season. They played hard. Mm-hmm. But Colorado was better. Colorado was more talented. Colorado has been playing better. Colorado has better players. Colorado is better coached and better managed. So I'm going to start on choices today because we all have choices in life. We can all do whatever we want to do, right? Like for the most part, we can do pretty much anything. I host a sports radio show, and I decide what we talk about on the show. We could talk about baseball today, but that's not really a choice. This isn't St. Louis. This isn't Pittsburgh. There wasn't a game last night. Our local team didn't play. You know there's really only one choice today for us to talk about. When I look at the Nashville Predators, I think about choices. And I am resigned to the fact that I think the Nashville Predators, as far as practicality is concerned, really only have one choice. It's time for them to fire John Hines, and it's time for them to move on in whatever way they have to from David Poile. If I owned the team, I wouldn't want to fire David, but I would have already been in his office today, and I already would have told him that we're moving in a different direction. Whether that means that he gets a new title, where he shows up at the golf tournament and he shakes hands and kisses babies and gets a nice salary doing it, and his name goes up in the arena, that's fine. If David doesn't want to do that, if David doesn't want to retire, then we can announce it as an outright firing. I don't want to do it, but I just don't see a choice in retaining John Hines and David Poyle. Now, people will tell you, they're not going to do this to those guys. They can't do this to those guys. And I want to talk about the history of Nashville and Nashville sports. And I think I can speak on these things because I grew up here. I love sports here. I chose to come back here. And I've now been here hosting a very popular radio show for the last 6 years. When I was a kid, we were a nobody town, especially when it came to sports. Told the story that I ran down the hallway one time because the WGN White Sox broadcast had talked about a guy who had come from AAA Nashville, and I said, Dad, they're talking about us. I remember when the Predators started, and I was a fan, but I use that term very loosely. I didn't really get into the Predators until 2011. You want to know what happened in 2011? They won their first playoff series in the history of the franchise. I was really into it in 2012, and then I was hooked. But I remember in high school when people had choices, and the choice around here was Vandy and Tennessee basketball. We went to school. We didn't talk about the Predators. We didn't really go to Predators games. We didn't even really know how the game was played. We knew they were there. We hoped they did well. We didn't want them to get sold to BlackBerry, but we didn't really care. We didn't have the passion. That passion exists now. That passion is because of what happened in 2011, 2012, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. These fans love this team. And we saw it in 2017 when everybody would pack Broadway. But the choice now is, do you want to keep investing your heart as a fan in a team that doesn't get any better and isn't willing to make the major changes necessary to compete? That's the real question. That's your choice. They have choices too. In 2018, when the team was hot and it was the hottest ticket in town, they raised prices. And people said, Jared, aren't you going to say something about this? Aren't you going to rip them? I said, no. It's NashvillePredators.com. It ain't NashvillePredators.org. And they are a business and they can do whatever they want to do. But I said at the time, just know what's going to happen if things start to go down a little bit. This city now is not what it was when I was 6 years old. We're full of choices. We've got football. We've got soccer. We've got high-level college baseball. We've got a resort with a water park inside of it. There's so many things to do in this city. And when you invest your time and your passion and your heart in something, you want to see things go your way. We're not one of these cities that is only dedicated to winning, one of these cities that's, oh my God, we lost a game, fire the coach. The Red Sox won the World Series in 2018, and in 2019 they fired their general manager, Dave Dombrowski. We're not one of those cities. But the last time the Predators won a playoff series, the reigning Super Bowl champions were the Philadelphia Eagles, and they've already fired their coach. So the reality is, what is it about the Preds that makes you think that they have the choice to keep David Poyle or John Hines? Again, we can talk baseball on the radio. We can talk about the St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Atlanta Braves and what'd you think of the bullpen last night in the Cubs game. We can do that. That's not really a practical choice for our business. For them, what is there with Hines and Poyle? This is a town that wants to win. Your passion demands that you compete. Is there any young, exciting player that you see on this team that you think that guy can be the next superstar of the league? I have to say the answer is no. Flip on the Grizzlies and see their young, exciting superstar. Are there any foundational players on this team that you look at and you say, Crosby, Ovechkin, McDavid, Matthews, McKinnon, Preds player? I went back today and I did the work because I want to be fair. I went through all of David Poyle's transactions, and if you're looking at the stream, you can see this, from 2017's Cup run until now. The best move Like the best foundational move that I think they made outside of re-signing one of their own players that they already had was signing Matt Duchene. And the truth is, last year, they offered the Seattle Kraken the ability to take Matt Duchene for nothing. So how long are they going to wait with a coach that came in here with high expectations, with the hopes of turning a team around back into a cup contender, who, across 7 seasons in the NHL, has won 4 postseason games? How long are they going to wait on a general manager who signed Ryan Ellis to an 8-year contract to only get 83 games out of him? A general manager who traded Sam Girard away for Kyle Turris. Sam Girard, as a defenseman, has 44 more points than Turris did as a Predator, and the Predators are still going to be paying Kyle Turris until 2027. They traded Kevin Fiala for Mikhail Granlund, and since that trade, Fiala has played in 5 more games. Only 5. He has 37 more goals, 23 more assists, and 60 more points. And the Predators have paid $10 million more to Granlund than the Wild have to Fiala. Whether it's a first-round pick for Ryan Hartman and 26 points out of 85 games from that, or the additions of Brian Boyle and Wayne Simmons, or even the hiring of John Hines. These moves just haven't worked. And I get how pro sports works. I worked with a guy for 5 years who would tell me all the time, oh, you do that, you're going to get fired, and you all heard it too. David Boyle has made move after move after move. He's made bold moves, and we said he's going for it. The all-in trade for Turris, the hiring of John Hines. Last year at the trade deadline when they were looking at Carolina or Tampa, they did these things. And guess what? They didn't work. Even the current situation right now with Philip Forsberg, we look at that and say, are they going to let this guy walk for nothing? After a whole year happens, they cannot get Ryan Sutered in this situation. Philip Forsberg took a lap last night after the game was over. Kind of reminded me of Drew Brees walking off the field when he lost to Tampa Bay in the playoffs. And as Drew was walking into the tunnel, Drew turned around for a second, looked up at the crowd, and stopped. Because Drew Brees knew it was over. I don't know if Forsberg's coming back. I think a lot of you make a much bigger deal about that than I do. But the reality is, in this town, where there are choices to be made, where there is an expectation, and I think unlike other cities that are all expectation, we're understanding. When they lost to Winnipeg in 2018, we understood. Winnipeg was a great team. It went 7 games. It was a great series. They were on the short end of the stick of it. We didn't like it, but we understood. When they lost to that awful Arizona team in the 2020 play-in series, we knew the Predators were better than them. We knew the Predators should have beat them, but it was a weird year. COVID shutdowns, 5 months and nothing, guys flying overseas, testing in a bubble. We understood. When they lost to Carolina in 6 games last year, they were a competitive 6 games. And while the first round of the playoffs isn't good enough, we understood. So we're not one of these cities that if you don't win, see you right away. But we also should have expectations. I'm a fan. I'm a season ticket holder. I love this team. But I have expectations. And my expectations are not to walk in the building last night and have it feel like a game in the middle of January against a team in the Eastern Conference from Canada. Because that's what it felt like. I don't want to sit here anymore on the radio and have to do the, well, they played hard or, well, they tried hard. Because when John Hines was hired, there wasn't a press conference in which they said, you know what, they're going to try hard. They're not going to win a lot, but they're going to try hard. This is a league where half the teams make the playoffs, and you were the last of that half. And every team that had expectations that were ranked higher in the Sportsnet preseason power rankings, because we love talking about this apparently, the preseason expectations, every team that was ranked ahead of the Predators, who were ranked 20th and didn't make the playoffs, has either fired their coach, the coach quit midseason, or in the case of Vegas and Vancouver, they are awaiting a decision on the coach. Changes happen in this sport. It's okay. But what's not okay is to bring back the same. Because in 2019, they got to the first round. In 2020, they got to the play-in series. In 2021, they got to the first round. And in 2022, they got to the first round. And if changes are not made, then the results are going to be the same. What's the path to this team getting back to the days of 2016 with that exciting 7-game series with Anaheim and an unbelievable 7-game series with San Jose? What's the path back to that 2017 run or the 2018 season? Even the excitement of 2015 when they lost in the first round to Chicago, but it was 6 close games, 2 overtimes. Where's that? How do you get back? Pecorine is not here anymore to carry everybody up the mountaintop. And the reality is this. It's time for a change. And I don't know what choice they have to keep everybody else who loves this team, who's passionate about this team, who invest their heart into this team. I don't know what choice they have to keep those people from making other choices. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Your reaction, 615-737-1025. I just don't think they really have a choice. They promised when John Hines got hired, you'll see this is the best young coach in the NHL. They've got 3 playoff wins. That wasn't what was promised that day. Competitive rebuild. That's what they talked about this year. That series against Colorado, that wasn't competitive. Neither were the games leading up to the playoff series against all of those playoff teams and all of those games they lost. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get Caroline's reaction. We'll get your reaction today. It is reacting to the Predators. And one thing that really bothers me about a lot of this is something John Hines said yesterday, because I think it's true, but I don't think it should be coming from him. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company right here. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's me, Chase McCabe. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using the code 1025GAME, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials, all my favorites. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. Sign up today and find out why nothing beats a win at the king of sportsbooks. Download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and enter code 1025GAME and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Harness LLC needs 5 foremen to join our team. Go to selectharness.com now if you're a foreman with 3 years experience in excavation. Invest in a company who's going to invest in you. Selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
Empire Auto Parts has opened a brand new location in Nashville, Tennessee. They're hosting a hiring event with giveaways, sign-on bonuses, and more happening at Holiday Inn Express at the Crossings, 201 Crossings Place, May 16th through 20th from 9 a.m. to noon or 2 to 5. Empire Auto Parts offers hourly pay, full benefits, 401k matching, and more. Current job openings for warehouse associate, delivery drivers, customer service agents, account managers, and dispatchers. Apply now on Indeed at Empire Auto Parts Inc. Jobs or visit their website at EmpireAutoParts.com.
1 week only. Electronic Express has massive sales on Overstock, Open Box, demos, and scratch and dent products in every department. 4K TVs, appliances, computers, housewares, smart home, and more. We have deals on all of your appliances and electronics needs. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Find a store near you at electronicexpress.com. Locally owned and operated. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Finishing jobs on time, never being idle, and powerful equipment. Meade has the John Deere excavating equipment and the smart grade technology solutions for you and your business. Power your business with a new, used, or rented excavator and get the performance you expect and service you can rely on. Call us today for the equipment built as tough and reliable as you, or visit us at meadtractor.com. That's meadtractor.com.
Tune in to ESPN 1025 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman and Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Attention, buckaroos. It's time for the Franklin Rodeo. So saddle up and hold on to your lasso. It's 3 days of bull riding, calf roping, western wear, funny clowns, and some of the most talented horses you've ever seen. Join the Stampede from May 19th to May 21st. The Franklin Rodeo is held at the Williamson County Ag Expo Park and is brought to you by Franklin Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Williamson Medical Center, Wesley Mortgage, and Event 1FX. Tickets on sale now at franklinrodeo.com. It's a buckin' good time.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Bucky is brought in, Polk checked away. Here come the Predators up from their line. Duchesne, a glove has been lost. Fed to Yossi. That shot stopped. Battle for the rebound. Picked up by Colorado. Set down from the empty net. McKinnon scores. And the Avs take a 2-goal lead with just under 56 seconds left.
How frustrating to be swept, first time that's happened in franchise history?
Well, it's certainly disappointing for sure. I mean, you come in and you work 82 games to be able to get in the playoffs, and unfortunately this series didn't go the way that we wanted it to go, and the fact that we weren't able to win a game is something that we all take personal for sure.
There you go. That was John Hines last night after the game, the empty netter that went in there. 615-737-1025. Let me tell the people out there, we will get to your phones. We got to do some talking first, though. Mm-hmm. And so I do want to say that there is something that really bothered me yesterday. My head kind of popped up when I was listening to the postgame show when I got home last night. I watched the Bally Sports postgame show, and I listened to our postgame show. And this was from John Hines last night. And, again, I've said it to start the show. I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to move on from Hines. They cannot pick up his option. They can fire him, whatever. I mean, it's all the same to me, right? Like, he should not be the coach anymore. David Poyles should not be the chief hockey decider. Mm-hmm. It's time to move on. Hines said this after the game last night, and it honestly kind of bothered me a little bit when he was asked about being swept. We got that, Elijah?
There's certain things you have to look back to. I think as you said, tonight I would commend our guys for the effort that we had, and unfortunately we weren't able to find a way to win a game, and that's something that we've all got to be better. It's not accepted by us, but we feel like we certainly deserve to be in the playoffs the way that we played and worked in the regular season, and unfortunately in that series we didn't find a way to get anything done.
The line in there that really bothered me was when he said it's not accepted by us. I know this as a fan. It's not accepted by me. But when something's not accepted, that means there are consequences. And so he says it's not accepted by us. Now, he's the coach. He's speaking for the team. But is it accepted by the team? Is it accepted by the people that are in charge? I don't know the answer to that. And I'll say this. If he's still the coach, then in my opinion, it is accepted. The losing is accepted if he stays, if there are not ramifications. They've changed the roster. They've changed a bunch of stuff. They've already changed the other coach when that wasn't accepted by them. So John Hines can get up there and tell the Nashville press, which by an extension is the fans, and he can say it's not accepted by us, but if it is not accepted by the Predators organization, then there will be actions to remedy what it is that they don't accept. And so, I mean, I know that he's just up there saying, hey, we don't accept getting swept. And then, kind of on the front end, we played our best game of the series on the back end. We deserve to be there because of the regular season. But it's not accepted by us. We'll see. We'll see if it's really not accepted by you. Because if it's not accepted by the Predators, then he won't be here anymore. That's the way I feel about it. What are your thoughts? I do want to tell a quick little story. Last year, Caroline had been with us for about a week and a half. And David Poyle decided not to make a move at the trade deadline. And I talked about how I think that was, to me, another instance where Poyle was totally mismanaging the roster, and I thought it was more proof of why they needed to make a change at that position. And I said to Caroline, I'm like, who had been here for a week, I'm like, do you want to be in this or do you want to be out of this? Because you can be out of this, and this really end up, you don't know these people yet. You don't know this thing yet. And you were like, hey, I'll probably stay out of this one because I just don't know. I'm new here, whatever. You're not new here anymore. How do you feel about Heinz and Boyle?
Have you ever been in a relationship when you just get to the point where you're like, this isn't good for me anymore. This isn't good for you anymore. It's no hard feelings. I don't hate you. I hope you don't hate me, but it's just time. Let's have a peaceful break. That's where I'm at right now. I'm not angry. I just have gotten to the point where I know what I think needs to happen with this team. Because it's getting to the point, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. If getting swept in the playoffs isn't acceptable for the Predators anymore, then you have to change the process in order to change the results. And if you don't change the process, you'll get the same results. You can put a new label on it. You can call it a competitive rebuild, and you can trade Victor Arvidsson and Ryan Ellis, and you can plug some of the younger guys in there and expect it for them to play a larger role. But really, at the end of the day, it's the same core, and it's the same coach, and it's the same general manager, and it's the same process, and you got the same result. You still got bounced in the first round. Yeah, albeit it was a little bit more embarrassing this year than it was last year. I'm at the point where I'm at peace knowing where this team needs to go, and that's changes. Because if you don't change the process, if you don't change the behind the scenes, then you're not going to change what everyone else sees. You're not going to change the results. And that's really hard. Change is scary, and change is hard, and you don't always know in that on the other side of this change if you're going to be better off than you were before the change. Maybe the Predators do decide to make a coaching change, a general manager change, maybe blow up the entire core, I don't know, whatever it is. And maybe next year they don't make the playoffs. That's going to be really difficult, and that's probably really scary for fans to hear. It's difficult for me to hear. I want the Predators to make the playoffs, but you have to make some sort of change in order for the outcome to be different.
We also need a path. We need a path of how are you going to get there?
I at least need to see, okay, now you are showing us that what the results are unacceptable. So we'll do something about it. At least you're doing something to change it. Because if you don't, and you make the playoffs next year, and you get bounced in the first round by a team that has more talent than you'd have, then we're just doing the same thing over and over again. And that's insanity.
Can I tell you something?
Sure.
I think that if they keep the coach and the general manager and they go into next year, I don't think they'll make the playoffs, and I think that they will be talking about a new coach by January 1st of next year. That's just my opinion on it, because things are trending downward so poorly right now, and if Forsberg resigns, then the expectations are going to be through the roof for him, and he's probably not going to meet the expectations because while he's a good player, he's not a great player. And it's not, I just don't see the path out of this with those two guys in those positions. I don't see the draft picks to allow you to try to get the young stars. I don't see the young stars in the system that are going to come in here and be Cale Makar. I don't see it. These veteran players that are good, the Yossi's and the Forsbergs, they're good, but they're not, other than maybe Yossi, they're not aces. The team you just played, they got aces. And you could tell in 2018 when you beat them that you could tell those guys were going to be aces. And that's where they are right now. 615-737-1025. We will get to your phones in the next segment, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, though, Roman Josi and Matthias Ekholm, I think, hinted at something that we need to take good note of. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company right here. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
At the Law Office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. Being arrested doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. Being served with custody paperwork doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It may feel that way. But if you have Amanda J. Gentry representing you, you can feel confident that you're going to have the best quality representation in all of Middle Tennessee. Amanda J. Gentry goes wherever justice demands. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Men, what if I told you that now you're able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMDformen.com.
In a world where human interaction seems to be reduced to chats and clicks and emails, where transactions are measured only by speed, where corporate policies overrule common sense, sometimes you just want to go old school. Welcome to Genesis Diamonds, a refreshing experience where personal relationships and authentic interaction are the norm, not the exception. At Genesis, you're here celebrating something awesome in your life, and we want to know all about it. We want to hear your story, listen to your requests, and be a meaningful part of whatever occasion this is. A proposal, an anniversary, a birthday, graduation, push gift, sweet 16. If it's important to you, it's important to us. So we don't care how long it takes. We're not paid on commission, and we're not beholden to some corporate rule book. We just want to help you get what you want to make it into a special memory. So take a break from modern shopping and go old school with us at Genesis. Let's start a real relationship that you can count on for life. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
If you've been thinking about remodeling your home's kitchen or bath, contact the countertop experts at Smoky Mountain Tops. Willie Donick here, and we installed Smoky Mountain Top surfacing in our kitchen years ago. It's remained durable and super easy to clean up. Smoky Mountain Tops is proud to offer the new prestigious Vidara quartz for your kitchen or bath countertops. Vidara surfaces are ideal for use in almost any interior application. Check out the stunning new Vidara quartz shown at Smoky Mountain Top Studio. Contact the pros at Smoky Mountain Tops. Quality, service, and dedication. Visit SmokyMountainTops.com.
Hey y'all, it's Caroline Fenton, and I want to tell you about my friends over at 312 Pizza Company. 312 Pizza is my favorite place in town. It's family owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style, always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open every day except for Tuesday and is located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 or head to 312pizzaco.com to order. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Curation Cbd is a local family-owned business started and grown right here in Middle Tennessee. Curation's mission is to provide the community with locally and organically sourced CBD products for everyday use. Curation means healing, and their CBD products will do just that. Curation Cbd is a certified Tennessee product and is available at the Painted Tree in Franklin. Or visit them online and order now on their website at CurationCompany.com. Use promo code DDC25 at checkout for 25% off Curation CBD. Curation, CBD products curated for life.
Thursday night.
Welcome to the NFL.
Ready to make your NFL travel plans? Tune in for the NFL schedule release special as experts go around the league for analysis on each team.
And those are two fascinating teams.
With the superior defense, he's got weapons.
Including the Tennessee Titans.
There is a lot riding on this season for Ryan Tannehill and the Titans.
Coverage begins at 7 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Mookie Betts. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Do you feel like, though, that some things eroded in the last, month or so with your game?
In what sense?
Well, just in terms of the performances. You had a lot of games where you gave up a lot of goals, probably from April until the end.
Yeah, I think that's something we can look at.
There you go. John Hines, I think that's something we can look at. Guess what? That's something we gonna look at on this show today. So I get to your phones right here in a second. There's two things. Now, I didn't hear it because I guess we looked for the audio or whatever, but it was tweeted out by people who cover the team. And as we learned with Ryan Tannehill last week, there's a big difference between seeing it and hearing it. But Matthias Ekholm and Roman Josi, when you think about the core of this team, to me, it is, and like the true, the group, Josi, Ekholm, Forsberg, Johansson, and if you want to throw Duchesne in there, and then, the guys like Sissons, but the guys who have been here. Like that's, they know the winning, they know the losing. Matthew Olivier, he doesn't know the winning and the losing. So Matthias Ekholm, Joe Rexrode tweeted out, quote, 4-0 speaks loudly. We played to the best of our capabilities. Roman Yossi, this is Steve Lehman's tweet, News Channel 5. Yossi said the Preds saw in the playoffs that they have a lot of work to do, but it starts with work ethic, which they have. But there's still a big difference between them and the top teams in the league. The guys who have won, the guys who have President's trophies, what are they telling you?
We played our best, and it wasn't good enough.
We're not good enough. That's what they're telling you.
4-0 speaks loudly.
They're not going to come out and say, this team's not good enough. But he knows, Matthias Ekholm, he knows the difference between playing next to Alexander Carrier in the playoffs and playing next to PK Subban in his prime. He knows the difference. Yossi knows the difference. Play next to Shea Weber in the playoffs. That's his way of telling you, it's not good enough. And when the players say it like that, that's what it means. And so I saw those two, and I thought, they're trying to tell us, guys, this team's not good enough, which we already know. Mm-hmm. But I think, this is their way of saying it without coming out and saying, yeah, guy, microphone in my face. How do you feel about being swept for the first time? Yeah, Bob, we stink. They're not going to say that, but that's what they're saying. Let's go to your phones. As promised, phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, 615-737-1025. Mike in Brentwood's been waiting patiently. Kick us off. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Jared, thanks. I frequently do not agree with you, but I thought your last segment you laid out the facts very well, some of which I strongly agree with and some I don't. But I think one of the things that really came to light kind of game by game over the last few weeks is there were a lot of areas that we just really didn't perform well. And some of it's just basic garbage, like clearing the puck out of your D zone, for Pete's sake. Mm-hmm. We'd have guys make 3 or 4 attempts to do it and never get it out, and then end up giving up a goal every, few minutes. But I think one of the, it was a challenge to me this year to renew my season tickets for 3 years, but I did it knowing that, things might change. Things might improve, but I know that the organization does not listen to your show to make their decisions, but I'm going to toss something out there.
Sure.
Just because I did renew my season tickets for 3 years doesn't mean that I won't cancel them if they don't re-sign Forsberg. Because I think that in the past couple weeks, I've really come to the conclusion that I think it's less than a 50-50 chance that's going to happen. And if that does happen, we don't have a prayer of making the playoffs next year. I don't care who the coach is. I don't care who the GM is. We're too far off the center to be able to do it.
So I have a thought on that, Mike. I have a thought on that. I appreciate your call. And they're kind of two separate thoughts. First off, I do think that as far as, I'm a season, I have a half-season ticket. Like, I'm going to keep my season tickets. I'm not, even if they bring the coach back, even if they bring the general manager back, as much as they both drive me insane, I am sticking by them. But what I start off at the beginning of the show with, choices. Everybody's got choices. That's your choice to make one way or another. I think on the Forsberg front, I think you all care about Forsberg coming back a lot more than I do.
I think my biggest thing isn't necessarily Forsberg, but more so the leadership.
I heard the midday show arguing about, the money and all this stuff about, could you sign him for this many years at this? That's not the problem here. This is what I'm convinced.
And also, you can deliberate that all day long, but at the end, they haven't come to an agreement. So you can say 10 years, $10 million. Does it really matter?
I think it's trade protection.
Probably so.
I think it's the fact that he's looked at Shea Weber and PK Subban and Victor Arvidsson and Ryan Ellis and all these guys that have gotten shipped out of here, after signing long deals, and he's like, I don't want to do that. Yeah, great. 8 years. You can give me an 8th year. Everybody else can only give me 7. And so then I sign, for 8 years. And just like Ryan Ellis, all of a sudden I'm out in Croatia. You know what I mean? I don't think he wants that. I think he wants, the ability like Roman Yossi to say, nah, I'm not going there. And I get it. I totally get it. And this goes back to, what Yossi and Ekholm said, which is they're not going to come out and say we don't have a team good enough to win. But that's what they said. 4-0, it speaks volumes. Ekholm's telling you, we can't compete. Yossi starts with work ethic, which we have, but there's a gap between us. We try hard. We played hard, but we're not good enough. That is what they're telling you. And if Forsberg leaves over trade protection, He's telling you that he doesn't trust the organization, and I wouldn't either from this one standpoint. If Hines and Poyle are renewed and they come back, you think they're going to be here in 5 years?
Probably not.
Okay. You think he thinks they're going to be here in 5 years?
Probably not.
So now you're telling me, hey, we want to sign you an 8-year deal. We love you. We want to sign you. And then all of a sudden I sign on the dotted line, Jared Stillman, and now
And the coach
Johnny
and the general
Joe's
manager are
in there.
gone, and I'm traded.
See ya. And
I don't want to go to Winnipeg.
And by the way, this is a league that fires general managers and coaches very often, except for here. Let's go to Nate, who's been waiting patiently and is up next. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Nate.
My problem is what I heard today on Darren Donkin Chase from Adam Vingan. How can you automatically renew a GM if it's been awful for years?
Okay, so I know what you're talking about, Nate, and I'm going to let you go there just to get right to it. So in a 2018 article, Tom Sigrin, who was then the chairman of the Predators, which is essentially the owner, Tom Sigrin said that in 2018, in a story in the Tennessean, that David Poyle can be here for as long as he wants, and his contract automatically renews every year. I know Tom Sigrin. I don't know him very well, but I would say that I think Tom Sigrin hangs the freaking moon. I think Tom Sigrin is the man. And when it comes to the organization and trusting the Predators, I do trust. I do trust the people that I know that own this team. I do trust Sean Henry. Now, he'll be the first to tell you, he and I don't always see eye to eye on everything, and that's fine. But I like Sean Henry. I trust him. I trust the organization because they got it from the pits of terrible and how we were about to lose them to BlackBerry to where they are today. And so I'm down with that. I think David Poyle doesn't own the team. And I think that that's the bigger issue here. Like, I think there's a fear amongst the fans that he's Jerry Jones and that no matter what, no matter how much the Cowboys lose, Jerry is going to be the general manager no matter what. And I just don't believe that because that's bad business. And I know these guys, they're not in for bad business. So we can sit there and say that he, in 2018, when David Poyle had just taken the team to the Cup final, when David Poyle was GM of the year, when David Poyle had them en route to the President's Trophy and became the all-time winningest general manager in history, we could say, okay, he said this, so now this means that there's no chance that they ever move on from him, and I just don't believe that. So that's just my...
I mean, this is a business. Like, sometimes you have to make really difficult decisions, but at the end of the day, you do it because it's what's best for the business.
It's like every time
There's
someone
not
brings
always
up,
loyalty in business.
It's like every time somebody brings up, oh, well, they're just going to turn it over to David's son. I'm like, it ain't Poyle and Sons Hockey Company. This is not a law firm. It's a hockey team.
If that's who they think is best fit to run the future of the hockey operations, then fine. But I don't think that it's some sort of like monarchy that is something that's passed down because of who you were born from.
Now, when Jerry goes, Stephen Jones is probably taking over the Cowboys. There's a difference.
But I don't think the Predators want to be the Dallas Cowboys.
No, the Predators are run like a good business. That's the one thing I will tell you. That's why I have hope that they will make changes because I think that's the only choice that they have is to make those. John is up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, John. Okay, call us back. Derek is up next. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Derek.
Hey, Jared. Appreciate the call. Listen, anybody that's arguing that Hines and Poyle shouldn't be moved on, I think isn't taking a look at this. I texted Robby and Rexrode on the 26th when they played the Flames and lost in overtime that if they lost that night, Hines should be fired because it was predictable to me what the outcome was going to be when they got into the playoffs. They were going to get bounced. I think a single game effort is up to the player, but I think trends are up to the coaching and the GM. There's no player that's been brought up since Hines has got here in this system that has been better. All these young players that we thought we could count on, Tolvanen last year looked amazing on the power play. He took a step back. Carrier took a step back. Had a great year this year. Next year, I bet you he takes a step back if they keep these two guys. I just don't think you can keep these guys and expect anything other than what we've seen to this point, which is a wasted career year from Duchesne, wasted year at Forsberg, Saros, Yossi, all these things should equal better than the last spot in the playoffs. And the final straw for me was when they lost to the Coyotes the last game of the regular season. Awful. You can't tell me that we wouldn't rather see the Flames than the Avalanche in the playoffs. And you couldn't get it done against the worst team in the NHL. well, I knew where it was going right from there.
So I appreciate your call. And honestly, I think losing a game like that, what I say when it happened, that's a fireable offense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because what it led to, and the chance, like, you'd still be playing right now if you were playing Calgary. Now, you wouldn't win that series, but you'd still be playing. But you're not now. And we know you can't compete.
But it's things that teams that are good enough should have been able to do, which
Should
is hold
have
on
beaten
to
Arizona.
a 4-0 lead against Arizona, held on for 0.1 second longer against Calgary, and won those games throughout the season. I don't want to go back and play revisionist history, but if you beat Buffalo, if you beat some of those crummy, crappy teams that you lost
Seattle
to
twice,
Seattle, then you wouldn't be in this mess. But also, I don't want to use that as an excuse that the Predators had to play the Colorado Avalanche, because they did it to themselves.
Yeah, they made their bed.
They didn't win the games that they were supposed to win, and then they had to face the most difficult challenge that they were to face all season long. And of course, they fell on the other end of a 4-0 series. And that's when you're just not good enough.
I think it's easy. Like, all these coaches, every time, it doesn't matter what sport, they look at it and they say, if you make this big mistake, that'll get you fired. And then when they get fired, or when they're about to get fired, they offer up all these, narratives that try to quell what they know in their heart would have gotten them fired.
Mm-hmm.
You know what else is crazy about John Hines? I've been doing a lot of study on his New Jersey tenure.
Mm-hmm.
The one accomplishment John Hines truly had in New Jersey was Taylor Hall won the Hart Trophy under him. And they got bounced in the first round of the playoffs. So he can get great individual performances, but he can't win with those great individual performances.
Which he has gotten this past year.
Great individual performances.
Record-breaking individual performances.
We are back to your phones next. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company reacting to the Predators' season finale and their loss. 615-737-1025. And your reactions as well. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I'll say this, through thick and thin, Hiller, they are proud supporters of the Nashville Predators. In fact, I saw Mr. Hiller at the game yesterday. He was fired up. He had his Preds jersey. He was rooting for the Predators. That's right. That's how much they believe in the Predators. They love the Predators over there. There's no better time to upgrade your essential home systems than this month at Hiller. Until the end of May, Hiller is offering 0 interest for 60 months on select new HVAC systems, 0 interest for 12 months on new tankless water heaters, and 0 interest for 12 months on new whole home generators. If you know you need a new system for your home, do it this month. These financing offers are available for a limited time only to help you stay comfortable and cool all summer and handle the payments later. Visit happyhiller.com for all the details. As always, Happy You'll Be Here. The service is free. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hiller, call the Happy Face truck today.
Hey, this is Andrew Allegretta, voice of the Vandy Boys. Listen to the Commodore Hour every Monday at 6 p.m. during the baseball season. Kevin Ingram and I talk with Coach Corbin and special guests on ESPN 94.9 and streaming on the VU Commodores mobile app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies this afternoon, high 86. Those dew points, though, are in the mid-60s. That means it's going to be noticeably muggy this afternoon, too.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face truck today.
Hi, guys. It's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now, 615-576-5000.
What if you could be debt-free in 3 weeks? Hey, Willie Donick here. My friends at Loan Pronto are helping people do it every day. It's Loan Pronto's debt consolidation home refi, wiping out tens of thousands in credit card debt. Listen, your home's value is way up. You can refinance now, take money out to pay off all your credit cards, eliminate PMI charges, pay off personal loans, or other high-interest debt. One local couple had over $50,000 in credit card debt. Loan Pronto did a debt consolidation refi. And even though their mortgage rate went up a tad, they cut their monthly payments by $900. Why pay 20% interest when you can consolidate it to one low payment with a mortgage APR in the threes? Homeowners who do it save an average of $800 a month. Do it now and even skip your next house payment altogether. That's what I call financial freedom. Call Loan Pronto now. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval.
Spring is in the air. Time to get ready to enjoy all those outdoor activities like hiking, swimming, kayaking, and more. Rivergate Mall can help you get started and stores for everything you need. While you're at Rivergate Mall, don't forget to stop by Sports Seasons to pick up all your Preds gear. Visit rivergate-mall.com. Like them on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on events, stores, and happenings. Rivergate Mall, a place for family and fun and a place that loves our Preds, shoppers, and community.
Darren McFarland.
He's cool. He's got a personality, and they make fun of him.
Willie Donick.
Would this be a fun guy to come to work and hang around with all day?
Chase McCabe.
They're just like, hey, we need you to play yourself.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Is it inspiring for you as a captain when you look at the pieces on this team that made it successful, knowing that you guys are all going to be back again next season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many guys who had great years, and so many new guys who had unbelievable years, and that's definitely a lot we can build on. And like I said, it was a great regular season for us. We worked our way into the playoffs, and we got to take that next step now and find a way to win in the playoffs.
Can I tell you that I take total umbrage with that entire exchange right there?
Why?
So Kara Hammer goes, and I forget the exact wording of the question, and I love Kara, by the way.
Uh-huh.
You know, Kara said some really nice things when Floyd passed away, and those things matter a lot to me. Kara's a great person, love Kara. But Kara said, you know, how inspiring is it to know that all you guys are going to be back next season? Well, first of all, I don't know how, this season was inspiring to you, but it wasn't inspiring to me. And number two...
Especially not how it ended up.
And number two, who said they're all going to be back this next season? I thought the biggest problem that most of the fans have is that there is no guarantee that the 40-goal scorer is coming back. So that kind of was odd. And then Yossi oh, yeah, we had a great season, man. You know, I mean, we don't care. We don't care about the I know. What she's supposed to ask,
what else is
he
going to say?
I know. I agree. But, this is not the Little League pool party at the end of the year where we got pizza and ice cream out there. You know, this is serious. You know, this is people spend thousands of dollars supporting this team. People love this team. And people want this team to win. And so just the whole idea of trying to talk about the regular season narrative thing just drives me crazy.
But I think Yossi's bite there was kind of just a sweet little bite for TV. I think his real feelings, his real emotions about this season and how it ended was what he said post game.
Sure. I mean, if you shot them with truth serum before that interaction, it would not have been,
It would not have been.
And I get it. You know, I understand.
I think Yossi more than anyone understands that the regular season doesn't matter if you're getting swept in the playoffs.
Regular season. That's like these Memphis fans that are oh, would you say Memphis is a one-man team and it's Bain and Brooks and Jaren Jackson? You're not giving them credit. How'd they do last night? Got it. Let's go to William, who's up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, William.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I was wanting to call about Forsberg, and sometimes I think if you come with anything that's not glowing or if everything is roses, then people see you as a negative fan. But sometimes I like to just see things what they are.
Sure.
I don't care if it's not good or bad, but what it really was. And Forsberg's whole career, he's a good player. And then last year in the playoffs, I didn't see him the whole playoffs against Carolina. He was the most invisible player. And then his contract year, we've all seen this 1,000 times in sports. or out of nowhere, amazingly, the year a guy has his best year, the year his contract comes up.
Oh, my God, it happens so often. Corey Davis, the latest example of here in town, but continue.
And then they're mediocre ever since then, and everybody feels whatever they feel. But I put also on Poyle, is he I don't want, say if I look at general manager as an attorney, I don't want an attorney who's hopeful. I want a guy who gives me the hard medicine I have to hear. But I don't want to lose. And we've been through this with Ryan Suter. Is he a hopeful guy? He believes what the agents tell him. Oh yeah, everything's good.
So William, I appreciate your call. Adam Vingan had a great line in his column about the need for ownership to speak out about the Predators, and I don't completely agree with Vingan's thoughts, which we'll get to at some point. But he did say that David Poyle has become an unreliable narrator. I mean, David Poyle spins a lot of stuff. And I think almost every general manager spends a lot of stuff.
I don't think that's exclusive to David Poyle.
But I think David Poyle is at the top of the ridiculousness of doing it. You know, 2018, they traded a first-round pick for Ryan Hartman, who sucked, and then talked about how he can play on any of our lines. And they say, we didn't want to trade anymore because we want to leave a spot open for Ellie Tolvanen, because Ellie Tolvanen is going to come in right away and stick in this lineup and play right away on this President's Trophy team. And Ellie Tolvanen, that was 4 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And he was doing it because he didn't want Tolvanen, who had lit it up at the Olympics. He didn't want Tolvanen to do what Jimmy Vesey did, which was, I'd rather go play somewhere else. So I'll wait out my entry-level time, and then I'll go sign with a team that I want to play for, and I'm not coming here. It was like John Calipari on the recruiting trail. Mm-hmm. You know, all of the things that he sold us over the years, there's always a narrative that comes of it, and the narrative is hardly ever true, and that is a hard thing. I mean, I'm about to get into some of the things he said when they hired John Hines, and you know, the problems that I have with that, and that I had with it at the time that have only been proven right now. And so I would agree, David Poyle does not shoot people straight. Cody Glass. You know, when they trade Ryan Ellis for Cody, he was the 7th pick in 2017, and we think he can. Cody Glass, I went back and looked at it. Cody Glass, in 27 games last year for Vegas, had 4 goals and 6 assists. In 39 games for Vegas the year before that, 5 goals, 7 assists. He played 8 games this year.
Well, I do think that there's a fair bit of politicianing, if you will, when it comes to being a head coach and a general manager, that you might have to make things sound really great and really amazing just to kind of cover your own butt or make sure that the fan base still stays engaged, or that there's at least a positive narrative surrounding your decisions. But there gets to a certain point where we don't want to hear the narratives.
You think Mike Vrabel is getting up there and saying those things John Hines says?
It gets to a point where you don't want to hear the narrative, and you don't want to hear the all rainbows and butterflies. You want to say, well, what is actually going on? Why did you make this decision? What is your plan moving forward?
You have to pretend to be honest.
It gets old at a certain point.
Poyle, it's all narrative spinning. Darren quickly is up next. Thank you for calling 615-737-1025. What's up, Darren?
Hey, guys. I want to know where our physical game went, because that's how we were successful most of the year. We can't outskate Colorado. Come on. Colorado sucked for 5 years. That's why they have this great team. We were never going to beat them unless we faced them in round 2 or 3 when they were worn down. We were never going to beat them in the first round.
No, what you needed to do, you were never going to beat them, period. Thank you for your call, Darren. You were never going to beat them, period. You needed somebody else to beat them. Like, that is, you needed somebody else to do your dirty work, and then you could, but you're not going to beat, you couldn't beat St. Louis, you couldn't beat Minnesota, you couldn't beat, you wouldn't have beaten Calgary, you certainly would not have beaten Edmonton. Edmonton would have smoked the Predators, and maybe even worse than Colorado did, and maybe you would have been competitive with Dallas or LA. But, you saw what happened. Like, think about this in terms of speed and goal-scoring ability. McKinnon and those guys are awesome. Well, Draisaitl and McDavid are better at that. And that's who you would have had to play. Every game that you would have played against Edmonton, except for the one game that Edmonton would have undoubtedly choked away because they're Edmonton, every game would have been like game 1 and game 3.
And to the caller's point of saying, we would want to play Colorado in rounds 2 or 3 once they're gassed. The Predators were gassed going into round 1.
Here's the problem with the Predators and physicality.
They can't do it anymore.
They're not that physical. Like, they're not that. Colorado is more physical in the series. You know why Colorado is more physical in the series?
Because they haven't been physical every single game for the past 82 games.
No, they have bigger players.
That's also true.
Look at the size of the players. Look at Carrier on the ice.
They're faster. They're bigger.
Look at Tolvanen on the ice. Look at some of your guys, and look at their guys. Their guys are bigger than you. They're stronger than you. They're faster than you because they were drafted higher than you, because they're better than you. It's like Floyd used to always say about Arvidsson. Arvidsson's good when not everybody tries hard. When everybody tries hard, the big good guys are better than the big little guys. And that's why, look at Connor McDavid. Nobody can skate with him, and he's freaking huge. And that's why you go number one and you're a transcendent player. I see your loaded phones, which we will get back to, 615-737-1025, which is our phone number today. There is one thing that really bothers me when it comes to some of the things that we have been fed and what has happened since then. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, right here. It's ESPN 1025, The Game.
The voice of reason.
If I'm the official, I would send both teams to the locker room and say, this is going to stop.
The voice of the fan.
Our entire team's a mash unit right now.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Don't go through another summer with that awful joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now. Willie Donick here. That pain in your back, your knees, your shoulder, it can now be treated with the latest in precision medicine using natural biologic growth factors that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Really exciting stuff. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving you access right here to this modern-day joint pain solution. You can get lasting joint pain relief with no drugs, no steroids, no downtime, and no surgery. You may have heard Emmett Smith raving about QC Kinetics. You've read or seen other high-profile people talking about it. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can help you get your life back. So take action now. Get a free consultation. Powerful, effective joint pain treatments with natural biologics are here. So call QC Kinetics now. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Ryder is hiring full-time forklift operators and warehouse associates to join the team at the General Motors plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Come join us for a hiring event on Wednesday, May 11th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Hampton Inn located at 180 Bree Avenue in Pulaski. Ryder is an industry-leading Fortune 500 company offering full-time direct hire positions. Wages start at $17.75 per hour and increase to $18.32 per hour after 6 months. Ryder employees are also eligible for a fantastic benefits package, including medical, dental, pay time off, 401k program, and more, with only a 30-day waiting period. There are multiple positions available and paid training will be provided. Come learn more on Wednesday, May 11th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Hampton Inn located at 180 Bree Avenue in Pulaski. This is your opportunity to start a career with one of the largest employers in the area. Check us out, Ryder.com/careers for more information. Ryder is an equal opportunity employer and drug-free workplace.
Summer heat is on the way. Is your air conditioner ready? Costs are rising everywhere. Groceries, gas, utilities, you name it. Is your AC old, inefficient, and costing more than it should? Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Qualified buyers have up to 72 months no interest for a new York air conditioner and 6 months no interest for repairs. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York certified comfort expert company. Schedule now at springhillac.com.
Mid-State Sports summer registration is going on now. Adults can register as an individual or bring their whole team for softball, sand volleyball, soccer, flag football, kickball, and basketball. For more info, visit midstatesports.com. It's no debate. Play Mid-State.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman, on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 1025 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios, reacting to the Predators' 4-0 sweep at the hands of the Colorado Avalanche. Out, season over, gone for good, and we'll see you next year after what was a very non-competitive series with some exciting moments, but really, they were better than you. They were better the whole time. We knew that going in, and they proved it on the ice. And so I started today's show off saying, I don't know, given how this town feels about this team, if this organization has any choice but to fire the head coach and essentially fire the general manager. And I think they both have been given opportunities, and I think they both have not met the standards. And so I want to go back to a couple of things, because if I were to give you a bunch of money, I were to give you $1,000 to go to the casino with, and you were to, put $1,000 down on a blackjack or roulette or craps or whatever, how would you feel if you lost that $1,000?
I'm bummed, but not really that bummed because it was free $1,000. It wasn't my own
If
money.
you took your $1,000 and you put it on the mahogany, how would you feel?
Oh, crushed.
Okay. So when people make bold moves in business, there's a chance that they're not going to work. And I understand that coming into a lot of these things. But I think sports, where there's a scoreboard, is the ultimate winner-loser, zero-sum game scenario, where somebody wins, somebody loses. And so when David Poile made the decision to fire Peter Laviolette, when he made the decision to let Barry Trotz go, that was a risky move. Barry Trotz was very popular. But he went out and got Peter Laviolette. This team ended up in the Cup final. GM of the year. Everybody loved David Poile. When he made the decision to fire Peter Laviolette and hire John Hines, it was met with almost universal optimism, except from one person, me. And I looked at the resume on John Hines, and I was like, wait a minute. You're replacing Peter Laviolette, who 3 years in a row has hung 3 banners up here. And midway through the 4th season, after 3 banners have been hung, you're firing Laviolette, and you're hiring this guy who was 150, 159, and 45 at New Jersey, who in 4 years had got to the playoffs one time. I said, well, that's New Jersey, that's whatever. I looked it up today. You know what John Hines has won in his career?
What?
This is the risk David took. John Hines won a gold medal coaching the U.S. under-18 national team in 2006. Now, he won a bronze a couple years later, and I think he won a silver a couple years earlier. But, I'm talking championship. He won a gold medal with the U.S. under-18 national team in 2006.
Which is good for him.
My sophomore year of high school. He coached 5 years at the AHL level, never won a championship there. I think he got to a couple conference semifinals, but he never won a championship. Got to New Jersey, didn't win a playoff series. John Hines has coached in 4 postseason series now. He's won 4 postseason games. And so when he got hired, I asked David Poile specifically because, Peter Laviolette out the door, you're bringing in this guy, you're selling me on this guy, but the resume doesn't add up. I asked David about it at the time. Here's what David told us in 2020 when they brought in John Hines.
As I said, I think John is one of the best young coaches in the game, up and coming, and I think his resume is just getting built. And, we're, with New Jersey, can't, and I don't want to go into their situation, but they were in a way different place than we were. I'm thinking that we're getting John just at the right time, where he's coached at the college, the U.S. program, in the minors, all these things, and he's got a base in the National Hockey League. And we've talked about these things. There's things that I'm sure he would say that he would do different again, and now he's got the chance to do it with a different team. Our team, our age, our competitiveness is way different than the New Jersey Devils. So I think we've got the best young coach that's out there on the rise. He's just getting into the prime of his career.
So the message there was New Jersey was a mess and they were rebuilding. Here, we're competing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has any of that bore out?
No.
Now, I asked David a very uncomfortable question. And as we saw last week with Ryan Tannehill, I feel like I owe it to you guys to ask uncomfortable questions. I don't try to do it in mean ways. I don't try to do it in hurtful ways or personal ways. But sometimes you got to ask questions. David Poyle kept harping about how great the people in New Jersey were recommending him. Ray Shero, the general manager, was assistant GM here. Tom Fitzgerald was the first captain. He was assistant general manager there. He now, I don't know if he still is the general manager, but he was, elevated when Ray Shero got canned. But those are his New Jersey guys, and they just raved and raved and raved and raved about John Hines. I'm sitting here in this press conference 2 years ago, and I'm thinking, if they loved him so much, then why'd they fire him? So I felt the need to ask David that. This is what happened.
David, you talked about talking to Ray Shero and Tom Fitzgerald and the endorsement they gave of John. What specifically did they like about John? And if they liked John so much, why did they make the choice to move on from John?
I can't answer the second part. But on the first part, just everything, his personality, his way he gets along with people, his staff, the players, the relationships. But having said that, as John just said, he's very firm. There will be no gray area. Everybody will know what their role is. When there's things that need to be corrected, he will correct them. And I think that New Jersey's loss is our gain.
Okay, so he said, I don't know what happened in New Jersey, right?
Yes.
Diggy told Herb Fritz and Tom Sigrin that when...
No, I don't think he did.
Guess what? I have right here. December 3rd, 2019. What took so long? Why? This is the headline from ESPN.com. Why the Devils fired John Hines and what happens next. Quote, Ray Shero said he went to Devils ownership with the recommendation to relieve Hines of his duties, and they signed off on it. The timing seems awkward, but not nearly as awkward as it would have been to have an arena of his fans amplifying the Fire Hines chants that had started echoing through the Prudential Center. It wouldn't be fair to John, Ray Shero said. So this goes back to the narratives, and this goes back to what's said, and I go back to the gambling. That's a gamble. Anytime you hire a coach or fire a coach, it's a gamble. But it's a real gamble when you bring somebody in that doesn't have the resume, and you're saying, just trust me. Because that's what he was saying when I asked him about the resume, and he's saying, hey, I think we got the best young coach in the league. We got a team that's right there on the verge of competing. It's almost like the flower is starting to bloom, and now it's really going to pop with us. Mm-hmm. And that does happen. Bill Belichick got fired in Cleveland and has won Super Bowls in New England. It does happen. But it hasn't happened. And if it's a real gamble, if there's something to lose, then you have to be held accountable for losing. Just like if it's your $1,000 and you go gambling with it and you lose, there are ramifications because of that. If it's my $1,000, there's no ramification to you if you go out there with that $1,000, which means that your choices will be made more carefully. And that's how I look at all of these decisions. Draft picks, trades, coaching hires, they're all risky. It was a risk for John Robinson to fire Mike Mularkey after he won the first playoff game in 14 years for the Titans. But he went out and hired Mike Vrabel, who was just named Coach of the Year. And so that paid off. Mm-hmm. But these are all gambles. And so I look at Hines right now, and you talk to so many people that will tell you that he's a good coach. But then you ask how, and it's always like, well,
He made the playoffs.
I mean, to me, I don't know about you. Like I said yesterday, when you get inducted in the Hall of Fame, it's about winning, losing, accomplishments, and usually it's more than winning one gold medal with the U.S. Under-18 national team. And so when he was pumping up John Hines when he hired him, the expectation when he was sitting down in that chair was not going to be 3 playoff wins in the summer of 2022. And so there's a lot of trades we can go over, the Hartman trade or Fiala or, the fact that they didn't get a legitimate NHL player out of trading Victor Arvidsson, Ryan Ellis, and PK Subban. We can go over all the trades. We can go over the Johansson contract and the Duchesne contract, and we can go over all of that and say, okay, were these personnel moves not good? But again, when you're hiring or firing a coach, I mean, that is a big decision, and that is a big gamble. And his line when I asked him about the resume was, trust me, it's going to work. And it hasn't worked. And then, I don't know what happened in New Jersey, but I do, according to this.
They boot him off the ice.
And so now that that's happening here, I mean, I do think that when it comes to judging David, this is very much a big part of it.
And I do wonder why was that the priority of David Poyle's getting young coach? Was it the success of Barry Trotz bringing in a new coach in 1997? And that worked out, and he thought, all right, well, it worked out with Barry, so if we go younger again, if we get in a fresh mindset, that's going to be good for our team.
I could tell you what I really think about it, but I feel like
maybe you shouldn't.
I feel like it's a theory.
Okay.
And it's the kind, and today's probably not the day for
Maybe it's
theories.
not the best day for that. Maybe it's.
But look, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why he hired John Hines. It mattered that he's hired John Hines.
No, I think it
and
does
John
matter
Hines
why
hasn't won.
he hired John Hines. Because if we know the reason why he hired John Hines, then we can see how that's played out. Did he say, I'm going to bring in John so we can make the playoffs every year and then get bounced in the first round? Okay, you did that.
I'll tell you
but
why
I
he
don't
hired
think
John
that
Hines.
was the intention.
He hired John Hines because John Hines' buddies in New Jersey loved him, and because he knew the USA hockey program. Like, that's why he hired him.
But surely his expectations for John Hines were not what we've gotten.
Well, again, from an accountability standpoint, we'll find out this week.
I guess we're going to find out.
Because I'll tell you right now, if this were me, some point you make decisions, you got to realize this decision ain't working out. I've made decisions in my life. You ever broken up with somebody? It happens. You make decisions and you're like, okay, I thought this was working out for me. It's not working out anymore. But
what you do from there is what matters.
Let's go back to your wonderful phone call. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. And there is one thing about the quote-unquote firing of David Poile that every media person in Nashville seems to get so carried away about that I don't think a single fan actually cares. I'll explain what that is next. Stillman and Company right here. It's ESPN 1025 The Game. Caroline, tell us about the Caesars Sportsbook app.
It is time for the Caesars Sportsbook report. Now, Caesars Sportsbook is giving out first bet insurance for all of their new users up to $1,100, which is a good bit of insurance. Download the app and use promo code RADIOCZR, one word, RADIOCZR, and then when you place your first bet, you might win, and if you do, congratulations. But if not, you'll get your wager back as a free bet, so Caesars Sportsbook has got you covered. And if you need something to place that first bet on, look at this odds boost going on at Caesars Sportsbook right now. James Harden, Jimmy Butler, and Devin Booker each over 24.5 points tonight in the NBA playoffs. That's a whole heck of a lot of points, but it's worth sprinkling on it with plus 600 odds. I would look at it. Must be 21 and physically present in Tennessee. New users only. Bet amount of qualifying wager returned only if wager is settled as a loss. Paid as a single bet credit. Must be used within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. Download it, people.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into the DDC.
Stillman and Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
Scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Their hiring platform lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews all in one place. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
Attention, buckaroos! It's time for the Franklin Rodeo, so saddle up and hold on to your lasso. It's 3 days of bull riding, calf roping, western wear, funny clowns, and some of the most talented horses you've ever seen. Join the Stampede from May 19th to May 21st. The Franklin Rodeo is held at the Williamson County Ag Expo Park and is brought to you by Franklin Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Williamson Medical Center, Wesley Mortgage, and Event 1FX. Tickets on sale now at franklinrodeo.com. It's a buckin' good time.
Trying to find a new home right now is next to impossible. Very little inventory, prices are crazy high, rates are moving up. Here's a better idea. Let my friends at Loan Pronto refinance your current home, turn all that equity you have into cash, and totally transform your house. A new kitchen, new bathroom, a pool. Think about it. Your home value is up. Instead of wasting all that on an overpriced new house, convert that equity into cash for a home makeover. One local couple did it and got $200,000 out. They added new hardwoods, an outdoor living space, a swimming pool with spa and all new cabinets and appliances, plus a home office. Now they have their dream home, and they never had to move. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their home improvement refi. Give your home a total makeover and do it now. You can even skip your next house payment in the process. Call now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur with words from another happy payroll customer.
I've used it for a year now, and I've worried 0 time. I just enter in the time, it's calculated, and it's taken out of bank account, and it's just done. I love it.
Visit us at patriotsoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's patriotsoftware.com.
Accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Number one, let me just go ahead and say this. They're not going to fire David Poile. I don't think they would ever fire David Poile. Now, they may say, hey, Brian Poile's taking over as general manager, or we're transitioning to someone else. But David Poile's been here since 1998. They're not going to fire him. So that's just kind of the thought I have.
But see, that's ridiculous.
I understand that, but I'm just telling you, they're not going to do it.
I mean, then again, if that's true, that there's just that your GM is untouchable in a professional sports organization, then
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they may transition him out. Like they may start the process, as Benny put out, but they're not going to just outright fire him and sever ties. It's not going to happen.
There you go. That was Robby and Joe this morning. I got to tell you something that the Nashville media, and I was having a conversation with everybody yesterday before the game because it was a late start time. We were off at 6. Game was at 8:30. Like, what am I going to do? So I was in the media room, and then I was upstairs hanging out with everybody. And we're talking, obviously, about this. And every time that I have a discussion with anybody who covers this team, and I talk about, firing David, which I think they should, anytime I have a discussion, it's, they're not going to fire David Poile. And every time I'm like, well, obviously they're not going to just, you're not going to get an email.
Sever ties.
Right. You're not going to get an email from, Kevin Wilson, who runs the PR for the Predators. You're not going to get an email from Kevin Wilson saying, Predators have relieved David Poile of his duties. It's not going to be that cold. Like, obviously it's going to be, David Poile is resigning for personal reasons and will transition into the administrative executive director to the owner, whatever.
He's getting Bruce Arians'd. Bruce Arians is transitioning into a front office role, but will no longer serve as head coach as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You know what Bruce Arians is going to do for the Buccaneers? Nothing. He's not going to do anything. He's not going upstairs to a cubicle to watch film.
No, he doesn't have a name tag.
No, he's collecting a check as like an honorary thank you, and he'll be at the Buccaneers Foundation Golf Gala. And when they go out to Germany, if he wants to go, he'll get on the flight and he'll go.
But he's no longer head coach. At the end of the day, that's the story.
And you cannot tell me, and everyone gets hung up on this, the firing or what does it mean or the direction or – there's one general manager in sports that's not getting fired, Jerry Jones. There's no way Jerry Jones gets fired because Jerry owns the team. Everybody else, this is a job now. This is business. And so when I say fire David Poile, that doesn't mean necessarily that I mean today I want to see, Sean Henry announces that David Poile is fired. I'm not saying that, but somebody, Herb Fritz, Sean Henry, somebody will, when the time is right, we'll have the discussion and we'll say, and it may not be this year. I don't know. I'm just saying that this is, we'll have the discussion of David, it's over. It's time for somebody else to run the hockey operations of this franchise. And and everyone gets too caught up on that word fired and what it means. And what's funny is I think the media cares, and I don't know why the media cares. Maybe because they write stories where they put in there David Poile was relieved of his duties or mutually agreed to step down or whatever. But I don't think any fan cares about the difference between what the official reason for why David wouldn't return to run the team is.
I think everyone kind of already understands.
Well, the Titans and Mike Mularkey technically mutually agreed to part ways. Come on now. So it's the same for me as there. They're not going to fire David. Just like they're technically, if they decide to move on from John Hines, which I think they should, they're not going to fire John Hines. They just won't renew his contract. And so it's like, well, we didn't fire him. We just didn't renew his contract. But it's the same.
But he's no longer the coach of the Predators.
It's the same. Like, the end result is the same. Somebody else will be picking the players. Somebody else will be coaching the team.
It's less of a burn on the way out. But
Now,
at the end of the day, it's the same result.
and to the fans, I think it's the same. So I'm not getting too caught up on that wording. I promised phones. John is up next and has been waiting patiently. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead, John.
Hey, first game season ticket holder from day one, but that doesn't really make me an expert on ice hockey. I think you have to have people in your organization that know ice hockey, and that starts with the owners and the board directors. I know that you have access to everybody here in the ownership and in the management. But
I think you think I got way more access than I got, but I appreciate the clout.
Well, I know how it works. I know some of the board members. My question is, I don't know any of them that know anything about ice hockey. They're fans, and they made a lot of money in the healthcare industry, and they made a lot of money in banking. But honestly, I think David Poyle is insulated because nobody in the ownership knows anything about ice hockey. And so he's protected. He has made, I've been sour on him for a few years. Some of the trades that I have seen are questionable. Well, you mentioned Ryan Hartman. Ryan Hartman had 30 goals this year, so you might.
I mean, it's fair to say the trading has been horrendous. I mean, there's
there's
no way around it.
But I know for a fact none of these owners know anything. It's nice to go to parties and say you're part of the owners of a team. But, you know, I was one of the 3,000 people that were downtown when George Plaster got together that wonderful rally that we had, and Ron Samuels was there. I think Ron doesn't get any credit for keeping him here.
John, I will answer your question with this, and I appreciate your call. I mean, I love it. I think Amy Adams-Strunk is great.
Yeah.
You know, I really do. You think she knows the difference between a 3 technique and a 9 technique?
She might, but I don't think she really needs to know.
You think, like, so one time we used to talk to Floyd about the combine and drafting players, and Floyd was talking about you can look at a defensive tackle's butt. And by looking, and I remember because he was, like, embarrassed to talk about it on the radio, but he's like, if you see one of these guys that's got one of these, you know, really big butts, you know, that means, like, you know, and then he starts talking about Jarrell Casey's butt. But, like, that matters for football. Like, you know, those things. She doesn't know those things.
I mean, she might, but she doesn't have to know those
Her
things.
dad didn't know those things, you know, like, you don't have to. But you have
That's
to.
why you hire general managers and coaches and confidants within the organization in order to do those
That's why
things
you hire
for you.
people like that. That's why you do. And these people that run this team, I'll say this. I keep going back to Tom Sigrin. I go back to Sean Henry. I go back to the people who I have a lot of respect for. They know business. They know how to run a business. They know what not to do in business. Tom Sigrin one time told me that one of the biggest things he doesn't do is, when he was chairman of the Predators, he does not micromanage. And he will not do it. And I asked him, you know, how hard is it to watch a game and see the team lose and get all worked up and want to lose your mind? Because who could imagine me owning a team, you know, and how I would feel? And Tom Sigrin said, because I've made too many mistakes in business to know that you can't run an operation like that. So these people know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I maybe one day my faith, just like David Poyle's faith in John Hines, will not be rewarded. But I do have faith in the operation of the Predators organization. And I know we're on the flagship station of the Predators, but if I didn't have faith in the Predators organization, I would say it. And so I have faith in their operation. And that's all I can tell you on that, because I'm not in those meetings, and I don't know those owners the way that I think that, like, you guys want to think I do or whatever, but I have faith in the people I do know. Let's go to Bobby, who's up next. Thank you for calling. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead, Bobby.
Hey, Jared. Love the show.
Thank you.
I had no idea who Brian Poyle was until I heard the piece that he cut on this radio station. And once I heard it, I was like, this is it. This is the setup. The shell game. They're going to move David out. They're going to move Brian in. And if his only qualification is nepotism, that's not good enough. That's not good enough for this organization. It's not good enough for this franchise. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. I mean, Willie said that, he paid his dues. I mean, he job shadowed his father for
Here's
a
what I
few
would
decades.
say to that, Bobby. And again, I don't have the power to decide this stuff, and I appreciate your call. I used to live really, really close to Brian Poyle. I don't know Brian Poyle, but this is what I would say about that. And I would say that when's the last time – we'll use the NFL, for instance.
Okay.
When's the last time a team went searching for a general manager and said, you know what? Let's go interview the assistant general manager at Atlanta for a job. Let's go interview the assistants at Carolina for a job. The teams that stink. Mm-hmm. Let's go interview Jacksonville's assistant general manager and let's see what they do.
Because we like what they're doing.
Because they're doing great things in Jacksonville. That doesn't happen very often.
Maybe an assistant in Green Bay or
Now,
Buffalo. When
Carolina was 15-1 and in the Super Bowl, Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott went to the Buffalo Bills. Now, this was different, like the John Robinson thing. He was in Tampa, but that was because Floyd knew him, and he was from New England. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think this all plays a role into it. Like, if David wanted his son to be his heir apparent, then he should have retired in 2018, and that probably would have worked with the fans. I do not believe at this juncture, given David's lack of success and Brian as being a part of it, the culpability of you're in that same room. I have no idea what Brian Poyle does or doesn't do. I have no clue. But I wouldn't want to hire anybody right now that's sitting in the rooms that are saying, you know what? Let's go trade Kyle Turris for Sam Girard. Or, hey, let's sign Ryan Ellis to an 8-year deal. I don't want to hire any of those people, just like I don't want to hire any coaches off the New York Jets. And so I think that's just basic sports. And that's my theory behind it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But that's my feeling towards it is I believe that, let's use college football, for instance,
okay,
where nobody owns anything in college football. Mm-hmm. And Beamer at Virginia Tech wins the national championship and wants to retire and turn it over to his son. You could do that. Beamer goes 6-6 and retires. Son's got to go to Oklahoma and then go to South Carolina.
But also you look at Alabama, who's winning everything, and now their assistant coaches have head coaching jobs in college football.
And it could be a Nick guy that would ultimately replace Nick.
Yes.
And that, it could be a Bill guy that replaces Bill. Steve and Belichick. Right now, they don't want Steve Belichick to coach the team. Bill goes out, wins 4 more Super Bowls.
Maybe he does.
As Steve's defensive coordinator, maybe Steve becomes the next head
it's
coach.
the same thing in everything. Everyone wants a piece of whatever success is going on. It's the same thing in sports. It's the same thing as every other industry that exists in America. If someone's successful, another competitor or whatever it might be wants a piece of that.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Back to your reaction again to the Preds losing, 615-737-1025. Normally, I think I'm pretty in tune with the fans. And I feel like the media has been talking down a lot to the fans about, oh, yeah, how dare you not think that Hines is doing a good job? The Joe column last week and everything else. And I think, you've been manning the text line. I feel like I'm pretty in lockstep with the fans today.
Yes, I don't think the fans are too happy today.
So there is one thing with the fans that I want to get to that I absolutely do not see eye to eye with them on. We'll do that next. And your phone, 615-737-1025. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. Go yard all May long with $5 Dinger Tuesdays on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. This season, all customers will get $5 for every home run hit by both teams when you place a $25 to hit a home run wager on Tuesday MLB games. And the best part about Dinger Tuesdays is even if your bet loses, FanDuel will pay you $5 for every home run. I would say look at the American League teams because the ball is flying, in the more warmer weather places. So I go ahead and put my money there because the ball's a little weird this year, but that's what I would do. So what are you waiting for? Pick your home run hitter and turn big swings into big wins. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than on America's #1 sportsbook and my official sportsbook app. Head over to your FanDuel account or download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using the promo code JGM. That's promo code JGM. 21 and older and present Tennessee. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max bonus $25 and restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
This is Colton Sissons, and this is Smashville.
Feeds now Sissons coming onto the left circle, and Colton Sissons puts it in the net.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
From elegant to contemporary, Social Furniture has it all. And right now, get no interest financing on any purchase through Memorial Day. Save hundreds, even thousands on top brand name bedroom suites, living room and dining sets. Thousands of combinations in stock, ready for immediate delivery. All colors and styles are designer brand names, such as Woodhouse, Sealy, Serta, Kincaid, Bernhardt, Stearns & Foster, and Bassett. Shop local, shop social. Social Furniture opens 7 days a week on the west side, on Charlotte Avenue in the Richland Creek Shopping Center.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired a lounge singer to be their office receptionist.
Hello, this is Mickey Marquis, and you've reached the office of Doug & Associates. Thank you very much. Catch me Tuesday nights at the Hotel Johnson. Hello?
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
Doug & Associates, this is Mickey Marquis. Hello?
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
And now it's Geico's Motorcycle Rules of the Road. Avoid biking in the rain and never touch another person's bike.
Hey guys, look at these bikes. So shiny. Whoops. I'm gonna leave a note. Oh gosh, there's more.
And the rule to saving on motorcycle insurance is, in 15 minutes, Geico could save you 15% or more.
1 week only. Electronic Express has massive sales on overstock, open box, demos, and scratch and dent products in every department. 4K TVs, appliances, computers, housewares, smart home, and more. We have deals on all of your appliances and electronics needs. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Find a store near you at electronicexpress.com. Locally owned and operated. Electronic Express. We make it happen. 1 week only. Electronic Express has massive sales on overstock, open box, demos, and scratch and dent products in every department. 4K TVs, appliances, computers, housewares, smart home, and more. We have deals on all of your appliances and electronics needs. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Find a store near you at electronicexpress.com. Locally owned and operated. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
The sounds. Play ball.
Grounded right to Matthias. Diving stop comes home. The one-hop throw. The tag out at the plate.
The Nashville Sounds are on the road to take on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp.
Swing and a miss. Strike three. Sounds win.
Coverage begins at 5:50 on your home for Sounds Baseball. ESPN 94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
And then Fungo down in the center circle. Forsberg to Duchesne. Duchesne left side. Ekholm. Forsberg scores! Ekholm from low in the left circle found Forsberg in front, and the Predators have their first lead of the night.
When that happened last night, I was like, about freaking time. I mean, about time Philip Forsberg scored a goal. So today is kind of the picking up the pieces from the disappointing end of the season to really what was overall a disappointing season for the Predators. What was a disappointing season, disappointing end of the season, very disappointing playoffs, and the reality that they are just not honestly very good.
Some good individual performances.
Now, I got to tell you something. I think the fans care way more about Philip Forsberg's contract than I do. Like, I think the fans, and I remember when the Titans lost in the AFC Championship game, and Derrick Henry's contract was up, and Ryan Tannehill's contract was up, and Jack Conklin's contract was up, and we talked about those all the time, and it was Brady or Tannehill, you know, that kind of stuff. And I remember people cared, and people wanted Derrick Henry back, but I don't remember like it is now where it's like, I'll cancel my season tickets if Forsberg doesn't come back. And I just have, like normally, I think you would agree with me that I don't always have the most popular opinion around.
That is for certain, yes.
But that right now when everybody's mad at the Predators, I think that I probably have the most popular opinions as far as the future of the organization with the coach and the general manager.
Discussing the same things that I think a lot of fans are thinking.
The Forsberg thing, I think, is kind of a micro situation here. Like, I'm thinking macro, which is I do not think that the team is run well from the general manager, and I do not think that they are coached well from the head coach.
And I think the Philip Forsberg situation is one reason why we look at management with a few question marks.
It's been handled horribly.
Horribly.
I mean, it has been just handled horrendously. And so when people say, like, if they don't sign Forsberg, I'm going to cancel my tickets, I'm like, the fact that they're here should be reason for you, if you're mad about it, or I shouldn't say be reason for you to cancel your tickets, but I mean, like, the reason that we're here should be what you're mad about, not what the end result is.
In this situation?
Yes, the way the situation's been handled. Here's the reality of it. Right now, I think, and I heard the Midday Show talking today, and they were talking about, years, and, well, would he come back for 8 years at $8.5 per or $9 million or whatever? I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is trade protection. And I think this goes back to how poorly this team is managed from a roster standpoint, that you can't tell Philip Forsberg you're not going to give him no trade protection. Because he'll be sitting there saying, like, no, I want trade protection. Because I saw what you did to Subban. I saw what you did to Ellis. I saw what you did to Weber. I saw what you did. I mean, Shea Weber, when Shea Weber got traded, he was as popular, if not more popular than Pekka.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw what you did to Shea
Pekka?
Weber. Yeah.
Wow.
I saw what you did to Shea Weber. And if you're going to do that to Shea Weber, there's nothing going to stop you from doing it for me. Plus, he probably knows we haven't won jack in 4 years. And when you don't win in pro sports, you get fired. So I'm going to sign with this general manager who wants to give me no trade protection, or doesn't want to give me no trade protection. And, I'm all of a sudden a new guy can come in and say, see ya, Calgary, beat it. Just like you did with Arvidsson and Ellis and Weber and all those guys. But the issue is, if you sat down to negotiate when you had leverage or you could get something in return for him in the form of a trade, then you have to make that known right then and there. Hey, if we're not going to agree to this, then we've got to make a change. Like, right now, we got to trade. But they were winning too much, and it was like, oh, well, maybe we have a chance to make it to the playoffs, and so they couldn't think about the greater good. The Titans, on the other side, did literally the exact opposite 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Like, the Titans,
With
AJ, they knew, like, AJ, whatever AJ wanted was going to be, they couldn't do. And so what did they do? They traded AJ. They got AJ's replacement. They saved all the money, and they got other cap, allowed them to get perhaps the quarterback of the future.
And they were proactive about it.
They were proactive. But, I mean, I went back, and I've got from 2017 on every transaction this organization has made, which this ESPN.com list includes. I had to go year by year, print them off, and it literally includes Jerry Halper, who was, the head of PR for years, who retired. It announces his retirement is a transaction that is listed in this. And I went through every transaction, and there's so many bad ones. And it's like, okay, the process is not right. Hiring John Hines, that process bothered me because they fired Peter on Monday and they hired Hines on Tuesday morning. And so did you interview all the candidates that were out there that you could have? Peter DeBoer, I think, was about to come available. Gerard Gallant became available. Good coaches. And so my issue here is I feel like the fans are like, I'll cancel my tickets if Forsberg doesn't come back. And I'm like, look, they're going to overpay Forsberg. They're going to pay him like a great player. He's a good player. He's a level 2 player. And when he comes back, you're not going to be any better for it. You're going to be the same. But it's like, I will cancel my tickets and I'm like, the reality of does Forsberg stay or go, that does not move that needle with me that much. The reality of does Jeffrey Simmons stay or go with the Titans, that moves the needle for me. That is a big one. If you're Cincinnati and you've got Joe Burrow, that is a big, does Joe stay? Does Joe go? That matters. But like with Forsberg, you haven't won a playoff series with him in 4 years. And he has disappeared in a lot of them. And again, I think they need to keep him because I don't trust their ability to go get another one of them. But the process.
But what's the alternative? You lose him for nothing.
The process to me, I could see a new guy coming in here and Forsberg saying like, I want $10 million a year for 8 years, or I want 8.5 for 8 with full no trade protection, and a new guy saying no because you ain't that good. Mm-hmm. And so I know people are going to be mad when you leave, but long term for the team, this is going to be the better choice. But I feel like people, when it comes to Forsberg, they get like this one thing, this binary, either he's here or he's not, is going to judge how you feel about Poile. And my thing is, the process that got us to this point has been absolutely horrendous.
The fact that we're talking about it on May 10th is the problem.
Yes. I mean, it was, I mean, and again,
not in January and February.
And that's why, I go back to if they sign Forsberg because they put themselves in this corner with no leverage in order to do it, they're going to overpay for him. And then they're going to overpay for him, and then you're going to get to the playoffs, and he's going to score 1 goal in the playoffs like he did this year, and you all are going to be mad at him when in reality he's never really that good of a player. He's a good player, but he is not Sidney Crosby. And, if it were, let's use Edmonton, if I was an Edmonton fan and this is going on with McDavid, I might cancel my tickets if McDavid doesn't come back.
I mean, that's the future of the franchise. That's the backbone of the franchise.
But the bigger issue to me is the process. And that's why I've heard the other shows talking about Forsberg today, at length. And there will be time for us to talk about Forsberg at length. But my bigger issue is with the big picture management of the franchise. And that is the general manager and the coach. And to be honest with you, I think they both need to go. I have said that from the start today. I probably made it pretty obvious yesterday. I think it's been pretty obvious for a while. I mean, I've said on record it's time to move on from David Poile. I mean, to me, it's beyond time. But this is big picture. This is how we got here. This is not. I'm more focused on the causes, not the symptoms. And so if you're looking at just this Forsberg as this binary thing, I'm not on the same wavelength with you on this one. And I think you're on the same wavelength with me.
Well, it's just frustrating to me that it was poor negotiation.
Horrible.
That the Predators looked at it more short-sightedly rather than, okay, what are we thinking post this trade if we choose to make it next year, 2 years, and if we decide to wait even longer, do we realize that all of our leverage is gone? Because our options are either overpay Forsberg or lose him for nothing, and both options are bad.
I mean, think about the AJ situation again, and TD's reporting. AJ told TD he would have taken 22.5, which 22. I was going to offer 22.5.
But I don't really believe him.
But let's just
he can say what he wants to say.
We'll go off of what we've been told.
Yes.
AJ told TD that he would take 22.
22.
And TD reported that AJ wanted 25 from the Titans. The Titans offered 20, and AJ said he wanted more than 25. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what?
That's poor negotiating.
When I decide that you're not going to negotiate with me,
you're
off
gone.
to Jalen Hurts you go. And in comes somebody. That's using leverage, and that's, look, AJ probably thought they were bluffing. They weren't. And I think when Forsberg came into camp, I got to play out my contract and go from there, I wonder if the Predators thought he was bluffing. Clearly he wasn't. Played his butt off, and he'll get the contract he wants. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We are continuing with your reaction to yesterday and the state of the franchise and the one narrative that does not fly on this show, no matter what. We will get to that. Stillman and Company right here at ESPN 1025 The Game.
Do you want to help the families of soldiers who gave the ultimate sacrifice? Then join ESPN 1025 and 1063 The Game for the Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament, benefiting Folds of Honor, May 16th at Hermitage Golf Course. Put your team together and come play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebs to support a great cause. Sign up or donate at theGameNashville.com/golf.
Whatever you love listening to, you'll find it on Audible. Best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, podcasts, and more. Sign up and start free at audible.com.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies this afternoon. High 86. Those dew points, though, are in the mid-60s. That means it's going to be noticeably muggy this afternoon, too.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Don't go through another summer with that awful joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now. Willie Donick here. That pain in your back, your knees, your shoulder, it can now be treated with the latest in precision medicine using natural biologic growth factors that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Really exciting stuff. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving you access right here to this modern-day joint pain solution. You can get lasting joint pain relief with no drugs, no steroids, no downtime, and no surgery. You may have heard Emmett Smith raving about QC Kinetics. You've read or seen other high-profile people talking about it. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can help you get your life back. So take action now. Get a free consultation. Powerful, effective joint pain treatments with natural biologics are here. So call QC Kinetics now. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Attention, buckaroos. It's time for the Franklin Rodeo. So saddle up and hold on to your lasso. It's 3 days of bull riding, calf roping, western wear, funny clowns, and some of the most talented horses you've ever seen. Join the Stampede from May 19th to May 21st. The Franklin Rodeo is held at the Williamson County Ag Expo Park and is brought to you by Franklin Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, Williamson Medical Center, Wesley Mortgage, and Event 1FX. Tickets on sale now at franklinrodeo.com. It's a buckin' good time.
Summer heat is on the way. Is your air conditioner ready? Costs are rising everywhere. Groceries, gas, utilities, you name it. Is your AC old, inefficient, and costing more than it should? Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Qualified buyers have up to 72 months no interest for a new York air conditioner and 6 months no interest for repairs. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York certified comfort expert company. Schedule now at springhillac.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
I love my Charmin Super Mega Golden Rose. Gold last long. It's TP Gold, yeah. Charmin's got 6 rows in one. Lasts forever on my buns. Only Super Mega when I'm cleaning. Charmin's got my booty believing.
Charmin Super Mega Roll is 6 regular rolls in one. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Darren McFarland.
That should get you in the mood for a game tonight.
Willie Donick.
I think between 5.5 and 6 is probably in the ballpark.
Chase McCabe.
Typically, I like to take the most difficult task and do it first.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
You have to play hard every night in the regular season to make the playoffs. I mean, that's just what the NHL is. So, unfortunately, we weren't able to be able to find a way to win the games. But, you go through 82 games and you have to be able to compete night in and night out to be able to get in. And, we were a team that, we weren't picked to be anything. We picked 7th in the Central. We were picked not to be in the playoffs. And, we formed an identity that gave us an opportunity in the regular season to be a team that, can compete for the playoffs and get into the playoffs, and I commend the guys for that.
When someone wants you to know something, and they make it clearly obvious.
They don't say it.
But they say it.
But they say it.
They want you to know. The Predators, and I think this comes from the coach, the Predators want everybody to know that the preseason publications did not pick them to make the playoffs, and John Hines, unprovoked, just told you right there in that clip. So I went back and actually looked it up. First of all, question: do you care what the preseason expectations were for the Predators?
No.
Do you care do you know what the preseason expectations for the Titans were last year?
Super Bowl.
From the national media?
Oh, not the national media.
I'm talking about like what the
Nashville.
people picked them. Like what did the people pick the Titans?
Not top seed in the AFC.
Who remembers? I don't.
Not the top seed in the AFC.
I don't remember. So 1, I don't care, and 2. If we're supposed to care about what the preseason polls said, then does that mean next year when the Predators aren't ranked highly in the preseason polls that we just shouldn't have expectations? So don't watch, don't go, don't. Of course not. We're going to watch, we're going to go, whatever. But, I mean, there's a difference. But it just keeps coming up. No one expected us to be this good. So what? You made the playoffs last year. And so I went back and I looked it up. Sportsnet out in Canada. Preseason power rankings before training camp. You ready for this?
Yep.
Tampa Bay. Here are all the teams ahead of the Predators. Tampa Bay still playing. Colorado still playing. Vegas. Peter DeBoer is awaiting his fate. And they had a bunch of injuries, and he's probably getting fired. Florida still playing with an interim coach. Islanders fired the coach. Boston still playing. Carolina still playing. Toronto still playing. Edmonton still playing. Winnipeg, coach quit midseason. Washington still playing. Minnesota still playing. Pittsburgh still playing. The Rangers still playing. Dallas still playing. Montreal played in the Cup final last year, fired the coach, fired the general manager. Vancouver, Bruce Boudreau, who I believe came in the middle of the year, is awaiting a decision on whether or not they're going to pick up his option. And apparently they have until June 1st, and they've said they're going to wait until June 1st to decide. So he's probably getting fired.
Savage.
L.A. still playing. St. Louis still playing. Then the Predators. So the Predators are picked 20th. They finished 16th. And everybody else who was supposed to finish better than them, for the most part, has either fired their coach.
Or is still playing in the playoffs.
Or is going to fire their coach. Then, and this one gets me, like when you talk about what the preseason expectations, Ottawa was picked 26th behind Calgary. Calgary was picked 26th behind Seattle. That is outplaying preseason expectations. But this idea of, no one picked us to be here. All the teams that they picked ahead of you that didn't make the playoffs have fired their coach or are going to fire their coach. And all the other teams are still playing in the playoffs today. So they picked you 20th. This is Sportsnet. They have no agenda. They picked you 20th. You finished 16th. Let's get some cake and ice cream for the pool party.
Which is technically exceeding preseason expectations. But why do we care about preseason expectations? Why do we care about what they said in August?
And these people don't even care about the Predators that cover the thing national.
But why do we care about that? Because whenever you that's an August conversation.
Because it's an excuse. And as my high school basketball coach used to say, excuses are for losers.
We don't want to almost win.
We don't want to almost win. We want to win.
But at what point is that not good enough? At what point can we not look at the Predators and say, look, our preseason expectations were pretty low, but then they started playing pretty damn well.
Can I tell you
then there were 240
point?
Goal scorers. What?
Today.
I mean, yes.
That's the point.
I'm done talking about the preseason expectations.
Phones. Jerry is up next here on Stillman & Company. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead, Jerry.
First of all, David Paul has outlived his usefulness as a good general manager. In the past, he has made good decisions. He's overstayed his welcome. His ideals are not the same, and he doesn't have the passion to win that he used to have. So at that point, let him ride off into the sunset and bring someone in that's going to put this team where they need to be to win.
I agree.
Not just make the playoffs.
Jerry, I appreciate your call. I don't disagree with any of that. Mm-hmm. I mean, he said it a lot more blunt than I would have said it. But, I mean, look, Poyle built up a lot of juice, and he earned it, and that juice has been drank.
No more juice.
No more juice.
No more juice for you.
No more juice.
I mean, making the playoffs is fun. It really is. But it stops being fun when you have no expectations.
It's like when you get the little juice box carton and you're like...
You squeeze it.
Yeah, you're like, it's like gone. Like the juice is gone.
Like being employee of the month is fun, but until you get promoted, it means nothing.
Tristan is up next here. Good to hear from you, Tristan. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, man? It's good to see you. I'm actually watching you guys on YouTube. First and foremost, I'm a new dad, so quite honestly, I've been looking forward to the Western Conference stuff, so it's just bumming me out that I don't have Preds hockey to watch with my daughter, and now I have to root for L.A. now.
Oh, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So you guys know, Jared, I'm calling from Raleigh. Honestly, one of the craziest things being a Preds fan and watching it from afar has been I have felt that Preds fans in general feel like they are never going to ever have to go through the growing pains of being a new franchise. When living with the Canes, living in Canes country, the same thing kind of applies, but Hurricanes fans are much more different. When they got rid of Nedeljkovic and Fogel got drafted for Seattle, Fogel got up to Edmonton, and the number of losses that they dealt with last year, Don Waddell and company said, trust us. And the Canes said, okay, because you've proven the following X, Y, and Z. Unfortunately, we as Preds fans and the Predators in general have not faced that yet. And I think that's what makes people so scared and so terrified is that we are now.
Tristan, I hear you on this, and I do appreciate your call. It's good to talk to you, by the way, and I'm glad you're a new dad. And as always, thank you for your great service to our country. But I would say this. I do think there is like a fear of rebuilding. Like there's a fear, and I hear it come from Robby's mouth the most, honestly. And that is there's no guarantee if you rebuild that you are going to immediately get good.
It's true.
And that is true.
And it's no guarantee that if you're really bad that you'll get the first overall pick. And even if you do get the first overall pick, that pick will turn into becoming the best forward in the history of the NHL. You don't know.
The reason I think the Steelers drafted Kenny Pickett is because I don't think teams had Kenny Pickett as the 20th best player in their draft.
Probably not.
I think that the Rooneys remember one of Dad's biggest mistakes, which was not drafting Dan Marino, who was right there at Pittsburgh. And I think that Mr. Rooney, because Bradshaw played one more year and then retired, I think Mr. Rooney always regretted it. And so I think they looked at it as we're not making the same mistake. We're going to draft Pickett. And if you bust on a first-round pick, you bust on a first-round pick, and we'll go get another quarterback down the road. I look at it like this. If you move on from Poyle and you go get a new general manager and the new general manager is no good, guess what you'll do? Fire that general manager and go get a new general manager. And then eventually the chips will fall and you'll get good again. But what if you get the John Robinson of the NHL? Would you rather have the John Robinson of the NHL? None of you knew who John Robinson was when the Titans hired him. Would you rather have him? That's my thought on that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Adam Vingan. Shout out for the takes today in The Athletic. Adam Vingan has a take on the Preds, and it starts not just at Poyle, but at the top. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
274 yards, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. You're not going to win a game that way.
The voice of the fan.
I'm tired of let's just give it to a quarterback.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent Train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
I come from a military family.
That's Stasha at Genesis Diamonds talking about the Hero Rewards program at Genesis, providing special discounts every day for heroes in uniform.
Whatever their budget is, we're going to make sure it stretches the best for them and that they will get the most beautiful ring at the best value.
Special hero pricing on any item extends to all military plus police, fire, and first responders.
They make us have the great life we have, and we are eternally grateful for that.
Genesis Hero Rewards program and free services is yours for life, no matter where you move.
Travel anywhere in the world, we're one phone call away. So no matter where you're stationed, if you're military or if you're a police officer and you go to another state, we're going to take good care of you.
Of course, it doesn't hurt that Genesis owner Boaz Ramon is himself a veteran of the Israeli Army.
Boaz, having served in the military, appreciates the military and what they do for us.
Genesis Diamonds, where our heroes in uniform get red carpet pricing and white glove treatment every day of the year.
Because they're there for us.
Genesis Diamonds and pre-owned Rolexes, continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Erectile dysfunction ruins sex, but it's more than that. It harms otherwise good relationships. It destroys marriages. It can cause depression and anxiety, and it can be extremely hard on a man's self-esteem. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with ED, if it's affecting you, I want you to know that if you're like most men, we can treat it and get you back to the man you used to be. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we're ED experts. Our protocols have success rates as high as 90%. We've successfully treated thousands of men in the Music City, and we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations that could have you performing like you haven't in years. You could even last up to an hour and experience great sex again that is satisfying for both you and your partner. In treating your health, expertise matters, so make an appointment today. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Signs First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Now through May 10th, join a clean and spacious Planet Fitness for $1 down and only $10 a month. With tons of equipment and free fitness training, it's the perfect place for everybody to work out.
Even me, Mr. I can't sleep at night, so I keep dozing off during the day.
Especially you, Snoozy. You'll rest easier and feel fit-tacular.
Wait, how did you get in here?
Join in club or at planetfitness.com. $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends May 10th. See club for details.
At CDW, we get how to achieve calm amidst the chaos of a hybrid workforce.
Before I check our security updates, I unwind in my desk massage chair.
So I hear. But with Google Chrome OS orchestrated by CDW, you get built-in security with no reported ransomware attacks ever and simplified management so you can stay relaxed.
Sounds good, but I'm keeping the chair.
For proactive security, trust Chrome OS and IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/Chrome OS.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. We are reacting to the sweep of the Predators, John Hines, David Poile. I have said I think that it's time. I really don't think the Predators have a choice. You know, this is a team where I feel like it's ownership group. They're fans. They're a group of fans that decided to keep the team here. They're not in it, you know, to one day sell the team and make $8 billion or whatever. Like, they are fans, and I think if they want to keep the fans in this town who have options and things, I think that they have to make this move. I think they have to fire the coach. I think they have to, whatever you want to call it, but essentially fire the general manager. But that's my take. Adam Vingen's got a take in The Athletic, and the headline is, Predators ownership can no longer stay silent about direction of the franchise. Vingen writes, quote, Preds chairman Herb Fritz does not watch the team he co-owns from a luxury suite at Bridgestone Arena. The day one season ticket holder, whose healthcare company was acquired in 2011 for $3.8 billion, sits in the lower bowl and blends in with the fans, many of whom probably would not recognize him if he bumped into them on the concourse. Fritz prefers it this way. He and the 16 other members of the Predators ownership group take a hands-off approach to running the franchise, leaving President Sean Henry and General Manager David Poile in charge of day-to-day operations. Among their duties is to speak on the owner's behalf. That is not completely uncommon in sports, or really in any big business. Mm-hmm. Usually, like, especially these public companies, you have a CEO, that speaks for the company of that magnitude. That worked for a while, Vingen writes, but not anymore. Poile, in particular, has become an unreliable narrator when it comes to discussing the direction of the team. I think we can agree with that. He writes, after the Predators were swept out of the playoffs for the first time in their history, ownership must respond. So I think about it like this. And, I'm shaking hands with people. How well do I really know anybody who owns the Predators? Not well at all. Mm-hmm. Tom Sigerin and I, interviewed him a couple of times. We run into each other. We shake hands. I got to tell you, I really like Tom Sigerin. I think he, I said the other day, he hangs the moon for me.
Yeah.
I don't think ownership has to speak. The way that Adam Vingen is saying that Adam's article is, he wants Herb Fritz to get up there, and if you're going to keep David Poile, if you're going to keep John Hines, you got to tell the fans. Like, you got to be the one that says to the people that buy your tickets, that buy your popcorn, that wear your jerseys, that you got to say, we are behind David. And, again, all this stuff about, is David here for forever and is he Jerry Jones level unfireable? You've got to tell people whether or not that's true. Mm-hmm. I understand what Adam is saying. Here's where I disagree with this. But it's only a soft disagreement. If the ownership group, the 17 people that own it, if they decide, or if Herb Fritz decides at the top that Sean Henry is going to run the organization, then I think Sean Henry can speak for ownership. So if they decide, because it was, when Sean got promoted to CEO, and, it was kind of like David runs hockey, Sean runs the other stuff. And there hasn't really been, a whole, I don't have, the organizational flow chart of the Nashville Predators. But if ownership isn't going to speak and they want Sean and David to speak on their behalf, or really Sean, then I think the organizational flow chart should be owner, Sean, underneath it, David.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that. Joe Ellis runs the Denver Broncos. They're held by Pat Bowlen, the late owner of the Broncos. His family, they can't decide who owns what and what to do with the team, so that's why the Broncos are up for sale. But Joe Ellis, for years, since Pat Bowlen got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, Joe Ellis has run the Broncos. So it was Joe Ellis's decision to move John Elway out of the general manager seat into, a BS role.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. If you want to just enjoy the team, own the team, root for the team, provide money for the team, and you want to do all that in the background, I'm fine with that if Sean Henry is the guy in charge of the organization. And I'm also fine with it from this standpoint. Sean Henry's been in the NHL long enough that if they were to make a change, he would know who to talk to find the right guys. We had a caller earlier that said, well, do the owners know anything about hockey? And if the owners don't know anything about hockey, then does David, feed them whatever, and then they believe it, and then it doesn't matter? And I got to tell you, these guys are too successful in business for me to believe that they would be taking whatever David's selling.
And that their only hockey confidant would be the general manager.
But Sean's done this long enough. And so I believe in that dynamic. I believe that if they decide, hey, Sean Henry runs the organization, then I'm fine with that, and then we only need to talk to Sean. And I'm fine with that. And again, I said this earlier today. I have a lot of respect for Sean Henry. He and I do not see eye to eye on everything now. And there are times where we even kind of joke about, how we disagree about certain things or whatever. But I trust him running the hockey club. I trust him to find the right general manager if they move on from David. If it's his position to decide to move on from David, I trust his opinion on that. Now again, like I said, we don't always see eye to eye. If he's running the team and he decides not to move on from David, if he is in authority to do that, then I won't agree with it. But I do have faith. And so I guess this is couching the Vengen response in two different ways. It is, I don't need to hear from Herb Fritz if somebody else is in charge of the hockey team. If David is the only one in charge of the hockey team, then I do agree with the sentiment that we need to hear from David's supervisor.
Well, I agree that if the Predators do decide to bring back David Poile and John Hines, I would want a response and an explanation from somebody in charge, whether that's Herb Fritz, whether that is Sean Henry, whatever a decision is coming from the top, I'd like an explanation for it.
I think the word supervisor is the right word.
Yes.
Who is David's supervisor? I want to hear from
the
David's
higher
supervisor.
ups, the people who are making those decisions. I'd like an explanation from it. But two, Adam says, we'd like a response from ownership. That response doesn't necessarily need to be a press conference. If their response is firing David Poile or John Hines or both, that's all the response that I need. Now, I'd like to hear from either ownership or Sean Henry about the people that they are going to bring in to replace those roles if they do decide to send David Poile and John Hines elsewhere.
Sean Henry came on this show the day that they hired John Hines. So
yeah,
if that happens,
I think
that
that's
will
what
happen.
we would get. But also a response to me, whatever they do decide to do, but if they do decide to move on from David Poile, John Hines, or both, that's the response that I need. I don't think I need
that's fair.
Further explanation on why you decided to fire the coach and general manager.
I do think that we need a state of the franchise discussion. And I don't mean the revenue, operating, income, net data point.
Yeah, I don't need
I think we need guys, we got to rebuild. Guys, we got to take steps back. Guys, stick with us through this. And then there are questions that come of it, right? Season ticket holders that bought in for 3 years want this team to compete. And you're sitting there saying, well, are we going to compete? And if you're saying we got to bring it back a notch, then those season ticket holders are going to voice their displeasure about it. And that's just, again, you can't make everybody happy.
No.
But
if you try to make everybody happy, you will not win hockey games.
I do agree with Vengen's sentiment that we need to hear from David's superiors.
Yes.
And if Sean Henry, if the organizational flow chart is Herb Fritz and ownership, box down, Sean Henry box down David Poyle, then I'm okay with it being Sean Henry. If it is hockey operations, Herb Fritz to David Poyle, business operations, Herb Fritz to Sean Henry, then we probably do need to hear from Herb Fritz. And I think the two things we need to hear about are the general manager, and
the direction. What's the plan?
And are you rebuilding? Are you going to spend a bunch of money to try to make this team, go further? Are you going to go out in free agency and go sign the best guys, knowing that eventually that will bite you in the butt? Those kind of things.
But some commitment to whatever the plan is moving
I
forward.
do think the fans deserve that. And I think this is just me as a fan, that if they were in just the fans' position, I think they like being fans. Like, they like going to games. They like rooting for the team. They like that element of it. But there's a different element of it when you're in charge. I think if they put themselves in the shoes of the fans who were frustrated last night, who still showed up, despite the fact that they knew their team had no chance to beat that Colorado team, the fact that they had not been competitive with them on the ice, the fact that this coach that they're supporting has not won anything since he's shown up here, the fact that this team has not won a playoff series for 4 years, the fact that it was 8:30 on a school night, I think that you got to have some respect for those people that are still behind this team and still supporting this team and still want to support this team, and I think they do. So that's my thought on that. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. There is something that I think it's muddied. When you talk about coach and general manager, and so I think we need to separate them for a second. I'll explain what that means. We'll do that next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in again on the Predators, the state of the franchise, what it means for Hines and Poyle. We'll get to that. 615-737-1025. There's a new way to hear us on Nashville's Best Sports Talk, ESPN 1025 The Game. Check out on 106.3 FM from downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming and the Nashville Predators. Next.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5".
On ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
No matter the weather, it's a perfect day to consider getting a COVID-19 booster, as recommended by the CDC. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Now through May 10th, join a clean and spacious Planet Fitness for $1 down and only $10 a month. With tons of equipment and free fitness training, it's the perfect place for everybody to work out.
Even me, Mr. I can't sleep at night, so I keep dozing off during the day.
Especially you, Snoozy. You'll rest easier and feel fit-tacular.
Wait, how did you get in here?
Join in club or at planetfitness.com. $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends May 10th. See club for details.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Realizing Geico has over 85 years of experience saving folks money and providing great customer service is like realizing there's a crumb tray on the bottom of your toaster, and you don't have to keep turning the toaster upside down to clean it.
How long has that been there? Hey, who needs some croutons?
It's something that's been right there in front of you all along, like the dedicated Geico claims team available to you in the event of an accident to get you back on the road quickly, or realizing that baby carrots are just regular carrots that have been shaved down.
I don't care. They're still cute.
It's something you can't believe you never realized before. Like how Geico's 97% customer satisfaction rating means Geico is committed to providing the best service for their customers. Or how you can peel the top layer of tape off a lint roller and there's a fresh layer underneath.
Marcy, wait till you hear about the lint roller.
You mean how the handle is reusable?
Wait, what?
Trust. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
The Ainsworth Nashville has been bringing a sophisticated twist to the classic All-American sports bar, restaurant, and private event experience in Midtown since 2018. Our multi-purpose venue consists of a full-scale restaurant, bar and lounge, and event space. Come for the wings, stay for our happy hour, and visit us for brunch on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We've got the good times to keep you singing all night long. The Ainsworth Nashville. Burgers, cocktails, sports.
Visit the Ainsworth at 206 21st Avenue South in Nashville or online at theainsworth.com.
It's watching the top players take the ice. It's hard-fought games that end in victory. It's showing your favorite team to your favorite people. Secure your seats for the 2022-23 Nashville Predators season today to ensure you never miss a game at Bridgestone Arena. Plus, enjoy Nashville locker room discounts, exclusive presale offers, and more. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. Join the Loyal Legion today and paint the town Preds. That's NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. NashvillePredators.com/season tickets.
Hi, my name's Kevin. I'm active duty, so I'm figuring out my options while I'm stationed here.
Hey, Kevin. Navy Federal Credit Union is celebrating Military Appreciation Month, so you called the right place.
Guess you could say it's like a match made for Kevin. Get it?
Very good.
At Navy Federal, our mission has been to help the military community for over 85 years. During Military Appreciation Month, we're celebrating the commitment that connects us. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/celebrate. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Well, I think there's certain things you have to look back to. I think as you said, tonight I would commend our guys for the effort that we had, and unfortunately we weren't able to find a way to win a game, and that's something that we've all got to be better. It's not accepted by us, but we feel like we certainly deserve to be in the playoffs the way that we played and worked in the regular season, and unfortunately in that series we didn't find a way to get anything done.
It is not accepted by us, John Hines says. Accepted how? And as I said earlier today, I took umbrage with that when he said it's not accepted by us. Because I agree, it should not be accepted.
But it just happened.
And if there's not changes, then it's accepted. If the general manager stays, it's accepted. If the coach stays, it's accepted. Whether it's talking about Ryan Ellis's 8-year contract and how that blew up in their face, Ryan Johansson's contract, and how that has been an albatross for years. And if all those things are accepted, then that's fine. Then you keep your job and you move on. But if they're not accepted, people lose jobs now. And I ask this question to you, and I ask it to the fans. If John Hines and David Poyle return as general manager and coach, if that happens, what is the message to the fans? Because, again, Adam Vingan is saying, hey, the ownership needs to talk to the fans, and I don't completely disagree with it, though I'm not 100% on board with it either. But if they come back, what's the message? And the only thing that I can tell you is that what happened this week is accepted. That it really is now binary, that if they make the playoffs, everybody gets a free pass, even though I think there's going to be teams, especially in the Eastern Conference, that if they lose, coach is gone. Don Sweeney, the general manager of the Bruins, does not have a contract beyond this year. And I don't think they're bringing him back if they lose that series to Carolina. So other teams don't accept it. But I think that if they bring everybody back and they say, hey, we're right where we want to be, let's go, then they are saying that is accepted. So I do wonder, to the fans' point, how do you feel if they both come back?
How else can you feel other than the Predators saw that what happened this past year and the year before is good enough? There's no other message. I mean, you can look at it from an optimistic point of view and say, well, leadership really believes in the direction of this club and believes that if Poyle and Hines or either or, whatever you want to say, just needs a little bit more time to develop the young guys or get these younger guys in Milwaukee in here, and then they can create a team, a really solid young core that can compete. You can be optimistic and think that. I don't necessarily subscribe to that belief because I think it's pretty simple. I go back to what I said at the very beginning of the show. If you do the same things over and over again and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity.
You'd fire them.
I would fire them. Yes, I would fire them. Because
I never heard you say that on the radio about anybody.
Wow, this is a big day. I would fire them because I don't like the direction of the franchise, and I believe that if you don't like the direction of the franchise and you don't make moves, then you accept the direction of the franchise. I refuse to accept that.
I haven't talked to anybody outside of Joe Rexrode that believes this franchise is on the right path. And I'm sure Joe's going to text me immediately and be like, I didn't say that, but we have right here the why John Hines needs to keep his job article from last week. And I don't think Joe has changed that. What's weird about the media...
Which is a testimony as to why John Hines should get fired, but he doesn't say it.
What's weird about the media and the way they cover the team is I feel like there's a lot of, if they decide to move on from Poyle, then it's a different story, because Gentry wrote a pro-Hines column today in the Tennessean. And it's like, now if they fire Poyle, it's a different discussion. And first of all, I don't agree with that. I think that they both, on their own merits, should be fired. Like, I don't think Hines is a very good coach. And I understand, Robby Stanley today was kind of, talking down to, pointing the finger at the fans, saying, it's the roster. It's not the coach. It's the roster. And I'm like, I don't know. To me, it's the coach who's putting Alexander Carrier out there on the penalty kill and not Roman Yossi. And on top of that, guess what? Most coach openings are available because the team's not very good. And so very rarely does it happen that Jimmy Johnson walks away from the Cowboys after winning back-to-back Super Bowls. And more often than not, you're taking over the Carolina Panthers with no quarterback. And they're not a good team. And that's why I've said, how many times have I mentioned Arthur Smith in Atlanta is going to get fired? And I'm rooting for Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
I like Arthur. I think he's a good coach. He'll get fired. That team's terrible.
He's been handed a really short end of the stick.
That team's terrible. And so he's going to get fired. And that's why you got to be careful before you just take any job. Look, I know there's one of 32 out there, but you got to be careful because even if the roster's not good, you're going to get fired. But I think Hines on his own is deserving of a firing. I think Poyle on his own is deserving of a firing. I think Poyle's commitment to Hines is deserving of a firing. And I don't think Poyle has done Hines any favors. And yet, I still think it's deserving of a firing. And so, to me, I think the message to the fans, if they come back, is A, what happened this year is accepted, is acceptable, and B, I think it is that they are buying the Kool-Aid of, these false narratives that keep coming out, that we weren't picked to be very high this year, so that's good. I think they're buying the false narratives. If, Cody Glass, we think he can turn it around, those kind of things. They're buying the false narratives if they bring them back. And then that is concerning because once you lose, I still have faith at the top of the mountain, but once you lose faith in the top of the mountain, then it's, what do you do? Robby made a comment to us as we got off the air yesterday, and he was like, what are you going to do if they extend John Hines? It's one thing to pick up his option for next year. Mm-hmm. It's another thing to sit there and give John Hines like a 4-year contract. And I got to tell you, I don't know what I'm going to do if they extend his contract because he has done nothing.
The thought of it, even Robby just bringing it up, got you all flustered.
He just hasn't done anything that, to me, he hasn't accomplished anything that would, he hasn't done anything, I believe, that would dignify giving him the option picked up. He certainly has not done anything worthy of a contract extension. Ryan on Twitter tweets me and says if they bring him back, it's a smack in the face, pretty much saying we are okay with only being a mediocre franchise. I mean, you're entitled to your opinions on that. And I just don't think that this level of mediocrity would be accepted anywhere.
And it would be one thing if the Predators weren't where we wanted them to be, but we saw a direction.
Sure.
We saw some progress. We saw some of the younger guys really coming in, being able to make a difference. That's a totally different story.
If they went 7 games with this team, and it was a competitive 7 games, we'd be feeling different today.
That's a different story.
We'd be feeling different today.
But that's not the case.
They got smoked.
And we didn't even feel good about it going into it.
What do we have on our text line? Because we've ignored that pretty much all day today. 615-737-1025. What do we have there?
One texter texts in and says if Poyle and Hines returns, that is all that tells the fans is that they're content just making the playoffs and they're not in the business of wanting to win a cup. 2017 Cup final loss, 2018 second round loss, so on and so forth. If they can't see that the past few years is a downward trajectory, I have no faith in the ownership group.
You know what the get-in price in the secondary market was at Puck Drop last night?
What?
$27.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's why when people think David's entitled to this position for forever and David doesn't own the team, that I don't believe it. because if the secondary market for this is $27, if things don't improve next year, and again, I don't see a path for that improving if he comes back, and they don't change the direction of the franchise. In fact, I mean, the most likely thing to happen right now is that Philip Forsberg leaves, and if that happens, how are you a better team at all? So
you're not, but you can make the AJ argument as well. As does AJ leaving necessarily make, or trading AJ, does that make the 2022 Titans better?
But what did they get when they traded AJ?
Maybe not.
What did they get when they traded AJ?
But they got an AJ replacement.
If you lose Forsberg, you don't get a Forsberg replacement.
And that's the thing.
You get a fourth-round pick of the draft.
That's the frustrating thing about it. This is a lose-lose situation with Forsberg. He stays, you overpay him. He leaves, you don't have him, you get nothing in return.
If that's the case, then what? You know, like, then what are you telling the people that buy tickets and invest not just their money, but their time and their heart in this team? We talked yesterday about how Bally Sports, who is their TV provider, is rolling out an app that is going to cost $20 a month for people to watch their local teams. Mm-hmm. And I just know this, if the team stinks, people are not going to pay $20 to watch that. And so these guys that own this team, they're business people. They get it. And if the get-in price for a playoff game at Bridgestone Arena is $27, and the Predators make the
playoff game.
And not only that, the way you make money throughout the playoffs, you do make it by selling tickets. Mm-hmm. And if you get past the second round, the tickets go up, and that makes sense. But where you really make money, too, is locking people in for season tickets for next year. Mm-hmm. Well, I would doubt that this year was so inspiring that people locked in for next year. Maybe they did. I don't know. But I doubt it. Well, I mean, that well is going to dry up real quick. If you make the playoffs next year and you're an 8 seed or you're a 7 seed or something like that, people are not going to be interested in buying season tickets for future seasons. And so if your get-in price for playoff games is $27, then what becomes your get-in price for regular games? And then that's why I don't believe that David has, David has a Supreme Court justice seat on the bench of being the general manager of the Predators. Because I don't think they can afford to do that long term because of what the message would be and how fans would receive it. But that's just me. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. So I only am on the air for 4 hours out of the day. You can watch us on YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and Facebook Live, and those things don't go away. So you can go back and watch it. We got our podcast wherever you get them. Just search Stillman and Company. But I'm only on for 4 hours of the day. I don't know what I shouldn't say this. I don't know what everybody else is saying. I know what a lot of people are saying, but I don't know what everybody else is saying. This year showed a very alarming trend as far as I'm concerned with things that have to do with the Predators, things that we were told, things that really you, the fans, were told. And I want to go over them now. And maybe it kind of opens our eyes to what is really happening. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Races, concerts, and one big party. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix returns to Nashville August 5th through 7th. For 3 days, the streets of downtown Nashville will come alive with the sounds of race cars, music, and cheering fans. 3-day tickets are on sale starting as low as $129. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is a weekend full of entertainment that you don't want to miss, and tickets are going fast. Visit MusicCityGP.com to buy yours today.
Winter's a bad time for your furnace to go out, but it's never a bad time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Attention, buckaroos! It's time for the Franklin Rodeo, so saddle up and hold on to your lasso. It's 3 days of bull riding, calf roping, western wear, funny clowns, and some of the most talented horses you've ever seen. Join the Stampede from May 19th to May 21st. The Franklin Rodeo is held at the Williamson County Ag Expo Park and is brought to you by Franklin Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, Williamson Medical Center, Wesley Mortgage, and Event 1FX. Tickets on sale now at franklinrodeo.com. It's a buckin' good time.
So many times guests come in with pictures from Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook and are amazed that we have those rings in stock.
David Cooper, Vice President at Genesis Diamonds, talking about how Genesis stays on the cutting edge.
We pride ourselves of staying ahead of the curve of fashion and seeking what's new, what's hot all over the world, what's hot all over the internet, and having that in stock for you, where other stores are still chasing styles that were cool maybe 5 or 10 years ago.
Why settle for an outdated style or a stale design? Make the switch to Genesis and get the ring of her dreams with over 4,000 cutting-edge choices from the top bridal designers in the world.
We have the designer looks that you see everywhere in stock in a variety of metals, a variety of sizes and shapes, and a variety of budgets, so every customer can have exactly what they want.
Genesis Diamonds and pre-owned Rolexes.
We are so honored and proud that so many people have made the switch to Genesis Diamonds and not only told their friends about Genesis, but have brought their friends to Genesis.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Bring your hive together with Spirited Hive. It's Hive O'Clock. What is Hive O'Clock? It's connecting or celebrating with your hive, a time to be present and create shared memories. At Spirited Hive, we become aficionados discerning what goes best with bourbon, tequila, and vodka in a canned cocktail. Bourbon whiskey with rosemary infused with honey and lemon, tequila ginger infused with honey and lime, or vodka cranberry infused with honey and lime. Available to purchase on reservebar.com or taproom for delivery within the hour. Join us at Spirited Hive on Instagram to see what the buzz is all about.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop in the Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, a dab bar at the Hendersonville location, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Puck is brought in, poke checked away. Here come the Predators up from their line. Duchesne, a glove has been lost. Fed to Yossi. That shot stopped. Battle for the rebound. Picked up by Colorado. Set down from the empty net. McKinnon scores. And the Avs take a 2-goal lead with just under 56 seconds left.
There you go. That right there was it. I mean, I had already turned for the exits. When they got the penalty at the end of the game, I turned for the exits and was like, that's going to do it. And then I saw the goal walking to my car, like in the TV in the arena, and I saw the goal, and I was out the gate and on my way home, and it took me 20 minutes to get home last night. It was great.
How long does it normally take you?
15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
But it's still it's like a sporting event. Normally it's pretty hard.
Post-game, you'd expect
so,
a lot of traffic.
I want to get to this, which is the narratives that have been fed, I believe, to Predators fans. Now, remember, David Poile did get one thing right this year. When he decided to protect Tanner Jeannot over Calle Yarncroke, that was the right decision, or it bore out throughout the course of the year. Now, Jeannot didn't do much in the playoffs, and what is Jeannot actually, we'll see. But, and Calle Yarncroke's still playing, but that doesn't mean that he's a better player. But that was like the one thing. Do you remember what he said when they decided to protect Jeannot over Yarncroke? I thought it was crazy, and I asked him about it. You remember what he said to me? He said, I know more than you do,
Jared.
So a bunch of narratives have come out this season that have excused the Predators from winning. And I think this year kind of exposed those narratives. And this is why, as Adam Vingan wrote in his column in The Athletic, David has become an unreliable narrator. First, we start off with the competitive rebuild after the Ryan Ellis trade. Do we have that, Elijah?
In Cody Glass, we got a 22-year-old player I really feel has the potential to be a real good center iceman in the National Hockey League, playing top two lines. He's 6'2", he's 200 pounds. He's still developing. He came off a knee injury about a year ago, and I think we're going to reap the rewards of a healthy, totally healthy Cody Cody Glass, as you may remember, he was the number 6 pick in the draft a few years ago, so a highly coveted player. He plays a hard game. I think he's an all-around player, and I do think offensively that he's a player that's going to contribute in an area that we're going to need as we grow this team.
So that was the second narrative, the Cody Glass trade. Mm-hmm. The first narrative was the competitive rebuild. Were they competitive?
It depends on how you define competitive, because some people might say, well, they made the playoffs, so they were competitive. I would say if you truly want to be competitive, that means that you enter the playoffs with serious hope and aspirations of getting further. And I know, at least for me personally, I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel hopeful.
They weren't competitive in this series.
They were not competitive in this series. No, they were not.
So they sold you competitive rebuild, very ambiguous, and then they weren't competitive. The second is Cody Glass. You heard right there in that last clip about David Poile, I think Cody Glass, I think we're going to get the best of Cody Glass. I think we're going to get the 2017 Cody Glass. 8 games, no goals, 1 assist this season.
And they could tell you, Cody Glass needs a year or two more in Milwaukee.
No, he was drafted in 2017.
I'm just saying.
Vegas gave up on him after 39 games in 2020 and 27 games last year. In 73 career games, he's got 23 points. They knew Cody Glass sucked. They knew what they were doing. They knew that it was a salary dump. Philadelphia wasn't going to give them anything interesting. They didn't like the Nolan Patrick kid that they received in exchange for them, and they thought maybe they could hit it out of the park with Cody Glass. But it was a total false narrative. Like the idea of, hey, Cody Glass is going to come in here, and we're going to get the best of him. 8 games, no goals, 1 assist. In the playoffs, no goals, no assists. He's just not very good. The second was the explanation he gave at the trade deadline. We were wondering, are they going to send off Philip Forsberg? Are they going to send out expiring contracts, get some new picks? Because, again, they're competitively rebuilding. And what is one big key to rebuilds? The draft. And what do you need in order to be able to draft well? Draft picks. And they traded a second-round pick, Shea Weber, Roman Josi, second-round picks. They traded a second-round pick away for Jeremy Lauzon. Here was David Poile's explanation of Jeremy Lauzon.
We made a trade for Jeremy Lauzon from Seattle. He's a player that we've had interest in quite a while. He started his career with Boston, and then he went to Seattle in expansion. He's 24 years of age. He's a solid player. He is an improving player, and he is a player that fits our identity exactly the way we really like to play. I believe he's right now 5th in the league in hits. He can play both sides. He's a left-handed shot, but he can play on the right side. All the reports and all of our knowledge on him is a super young man. He's would do whatever you want. Very much of a warrior type of a player. And for the second time I'll mention, I think he fits in really good with our defense core, gives us that depth and plays to our identity. So,
can I ask you a question? Does Jeremy Lauzon suck?
I don't like using that word.
Does Jeremy Lauzon stink?
He's not very good.
Would you trade a second-round pick for him?
No.
There you go. But at the time, hey, we think he'll fit right in. He's a young guy. So, again, if you're competitively rebuilding, one of the things you need in any rebuild, no matter what you do, if you're using the word rebuilding, even if you're good, you need draft picks. Like, even if you're a good team and you think you're right there, you still want draft picks because you want to stay good. And so you don't just give them away. Now, if you're right there, but they didn't give them away. They got Matthew Stafford. They got Jalen Ramsey. They got, I'm trying to think who else they traded draft picks for, Von Miller. And guess what? All of them helped them get to the Super Bowl. You got Jeremy Lauzon, and he's not good. Boston let him go. They let him go to Seattle in the expansion draft, and Seattle was like, yeah, take him, second-round pick, there you go. But that's the narrative was, hey, this guy's going to shore up the third pair on defense. And he was terrible in these playoffs. And he's got no seat. I mean, he's got no projectability. He's just not very good. And so that to me was a false narrative. And then another false narrative, Hal Gill was the one that brought this all the time, but we heard it from inside there too, which was, hey, the way this style that this team plays, they will be hard to beat. And remember how I kept saying, we'll see. You guys keep telling me, this style will be hard to beat in the playoffs. I know one thing about the playoffs. The teams that normally win in the NHL playoffs have a Crosby or an Ovechkin or a McDavid or an Austin Matthews or a Stamkos or those guys. Because that whole, we're going to be tough, they really don't call much in the playoffs, and the guys that can skate up and down the ice just skate right past those tough guys that aren't very good. And so this team will be tough to play against in the playoffs. Were they tough?
No.
Okay. So we were told that one, hey, this team will be tough to play. This one has been coming for a couple of weeks now, but it's really about to start picking up. And this is the idea that, God forbid that we be upset that the Predators lost to Arizona and thus didn't get to play a much worse Calgary team and had to play a much better Colorado team and got totally embarrassed and embarrassed all of us and all the people who paid a bunch of money to go watch this team play in the playoffs because, according to the coach, they weren't picked much by the national media.
We were a team that, we weren't picked to be anything. We picked seventh in the Central. We were picked not to be in the playoffs. And, we formed an identity that gave us an opportunity in the regular season to be a team that, can compete for the playoffs and get into the playoffs. And I commend the guys for that.
Do we need proof that they could compete for the playoffs? Because they competed for the playoffs last year. And they competed for the playoffs the year before that. And before that. And before that. And so it wasn't like going into this season we needed proof that the Predators could somehow, some way make the playoffs. And not only that, I went back and I looked at it. Sportsnet. I went to their preseason power rankings. The Predators were 20th. They finished 16th. Every team that was ranked ahead of the Predators that didn't make the playoffs, Vegas, gonna fire Peter DeBoer. In fact, Peter DeBoer had a press conference in which he expressed to the media how he would love to get a chance to turn this thing around in Vegas. By the way, the general manager was asked about it, said Pete's under contract and we'll figure that out or something like that.
Oof.
That's not a good sign.
That's not good.
The Islanders were picked 5th. Guess what they just did?
They just fired their coach.
Fired the coach. Winnipeg, they were picked 10th. Their coach quit in the middle of the year. Montreal made the cup final last year. Guess what they did?
Fired their coach.
And?
General manager.
There you go. Vancouver, just like Vegas, they're waiting to make a decision on Bruce Boudreau, and Jeremy Rutherford, their general manager, came out and said, we'll make a decision before we have to on June 1st. So, again, he's in limbo. Everybody else is still playing hockey right now, except for you. The team that was picked below you, Philadelphia, fired the coach. So, again, the narrative, we weren't picked to be here. You were picked 20th and you finished 16th.
And to John Hines' point, saying, we wanted to prove that we were a team that could make the playoffs. Somehow I get that because you were going into this season calling it a competitive rebuild and playoffs were in the question. But I think very early this season, through the middle of the season, they proved that they were a team that could make the playoffs. They were playing very well. It was the tail off that was the problem that made me think, okay, yeah, we'll make the playoffs because they proved that they could. But now I don't feel very good about the competing in the playoffs. And that's really the most important thing. Making the playoffs is step 1A.
If you had come up to me before the season and said that there were no major injuries for this team, if Yossi doesn't get hurt for the season, or if you had said no major injuries for this team and this team doesn't make the playoffs, I would say then they're going to fire the coach and the general manager. That's just, it's hockey. Mm-hmm. You don't make the playoffs, you get fired. You make the playoffs, you don't do what you're expected to do in the playoffs. You don't compete in the playoffs.
You get fired.
A lot of the times you get fired. And the final one, this is a new one. I had not heard this until last night.
I haven't either.
On the TV broadcast, let me just say this. I love Kara Hammer with all of my heart. I think she's an excellent sideline reporter. I think she's an excellent person. And I think she's going to be a great mom. But this was Kara Hammer's question to John Hines.
Your first full season as the head coach here. What do you take away from this year?
Well, it was really nice to be able to have a full season and really get to know the players and have from training camp through the regular season. And, I think you understand how special a place it is. And for me personally, it was just how special this group was.
You hear the excuse in there? This was your first full season as coach. Mm-hmm. Last year was a half a season and it was COVID. The year before that, you took over in the middle of the year, and then the COVID hit, and then you had a 2-week training camp, and then you had the pandemic bubble. And so that first year wasn't fair. That second year wasn't fair. So this was your first full season as coach. So that's going to be the new one.
I don't even get that. I don't even understand how that's an excuse. Because it's not like last year was a shortened season by any doing of John Hines.
Well, but no.
That's just what it was.
No, the idea is that it's not fair to him to judge him on that because he didn't have a full season to coach his team.
I understand it wasn't a full season by normal NHL season standards.
Right, but it's not like
that
Buffalo
was your
played less
opportunity.
games or like the first
That
year
was
I
your
get.
opportunity.
The first
Yeah,
year
the
you
first
come in the
year's-
middle of the year and then you get like a 2-week and then you're off to Vancouver for the bubble, and that I get. Or Edmonton, I think is where they played. Edmonton for the bubble and off you go. Okay, fine. I get that. But the second year of like, no, that counts.
That was everyone's season.
That counts. And
So that doesn't really make sense to me.
But I'm telling you, that's I'm not blaming Kara for this, but that is the next narrative. So all these narratives keep coming out, and they're not true. And that's the thing that I hear these things, and it's like some of the things the Titans say that I look at, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. You missed voluntary workouts for renovations on your house? Like, that's ridiculous. And you expect me to sit there and say, oh, yeah, starting quarterback makes $30 million a year through 3 interceptions in the playoff game, but it's okay, Kevin Byard, because he stayed at the stadium and he was upset about it after the game. He should be upset about it. He threw 3 interceptions.
And his new bathroom floors are going to be phenomenal.
God. And so, for years it's been this way with Poyle, and there's been no accountability for some of the things that have come out of there about why they're losing. And so I do not buy the excuses. And I just wanted to go through the year, this here, this there, this. Hey, everybody thinks it's crazy to send a second-round pick for Jeremy Lauzon. We think Lauzon's going to be this.
But he's not.
Everybody thought you got nothing in return for Ryan Ellis. Well, we think Cody Glass is going to be this.
But he hasn't been.
And that's what I'm saying.
And where's the accountability?
There you go. 615-737-1025. We are right back to your phones. 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs,
and I-840,
players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 1025 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head. What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams.
This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have 2 choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
I can walk again. I can cross my legs again. I can wear heels again.
After years of living with chronic joint pain, Andrea Southard is now living a normal life, pain-free, thanks to natural biologic treatments at QC Kinetics.
We tried everything, and my husband had heard the commercial for QC Kinetics on the radio, and he told me to call him and check it out.
That phone call changed Andrea's life. QC Kinetics used powerful natural biologics to treat her aching joints. It's high-tech precision medicine that can restore and repair damaged joint tissue with no surgery and no drugs, providing lasting relief.
I felt like I was in my 20s again. I could tie my own shoes. Really the little things that you don't think about.
Pain in your hips, knees, back, shoulders? Get rid of the pain now. Call QC Kinetics.
615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024.
No matter the weather, it's a perfect day to consider getting a COVID-19 booster, as recommended by the CDC. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
What if you could be debt-free in 3 weeks? Hey, Willie Donick here. My friends at Loan Pronto are helping people do it every day. It's Loan Pronto's debt consolidation home refi, wiping out tens of thousands in credit card debt. Listen, your home's value is way up. You can refinance now, take money out to pay off all your credit cards, eliminate PMI charges, pay off personal loans, or other high-interest debt. One local couple had over $50,000 in credit card debt. Loan Pronto did a debt consolidation refi. And even though their mortgage rate went up a tad, they cut their monthly payments by $900. Why pay 20% interest when you can consolidate it to one low payment with a mortgage APR in the 3s? Homeowners who do it save an average of $800 a month. Do it now and even skip your next house payment altogether. That's what I call financial freedom. Call Loan Pronto now. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
Hey everybody, it's me, Chase McCabe, and I'm so excited to be talking about my go-to drink when I'm out and about, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Screwball is the first and most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world. It's an original, just like me, the suit. I take Screwball as a shot, but it's great on the rocks, in an old-fashioned, an espresso martini, and many more. So next time you're out and about, ask for Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022, Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Darren McFarland.
And a mulligan that we all look for in golf. Lord knows our game could use it.
Willie Donick.
Outworked and outperformed a lot of other really good players.
Chase McCabe.
I want some sort of trade protection.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, I have something I'd like to share with you all. Chris Mason, Preds TV analyst, wants to come on and debate.
Oh, baby.
Now, I told him,
Get your
I said,
popcorn.
today, there's only one sheriff in town today. But he asked if he could come on the show because he wants to talk about my points. And you know what I said? Abso-freaking-lutely, except I didn't use the word freaking.
Something a little bit stronger.
Just a little bit stronger. 615-737-1025. So later this week, Chris Mason will join us. Hey, tune in for Sounds Baseball tonight at 6:05 as the Sounds take on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, the AAA affiliate of the Marlins on ESPN 94.9. Sounds Baseball is presented by 312 Pizza, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Spirited Hive. Anthony is up next on the Predators. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Anthony.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yep, go ahead.
Hines is a very average coach, and if he doesn't have somebody like Taylor Hall, Roman Yossi, UC Saros, who's having award-winning type seasons, he's exposed. And truthfully, our coaching problems, I think, really started back when Housley left and the defense started falling apart. But I'll let you go and let you talk about it.
Thank you, Anthony. I would say this. I think John Hines is a bad coach. So people will say, everybody that we talk to says things like, or I don't say that we talk to because we don't really, other than like Hal, we don't really like talk to people about the coach and, again. But, like, you hear all the time, like you flip on the TV, and the thing about TV, and I have buddies that work at NHL Network, and they're like, yeah, we can't be like you. We can't be over the top. Like, we're a league-owned network. But you hear with Hines, it's like, John Hines is a good coach, and I think John Hines would be a good minor league coach. And if you look at his record, I think I pulled it up for you yesterday. His record in the minor leagues is like in the AHL is like 240 and 100 and something, and like a very good 2-to-1 win-loss ratio. He's exactly a 500 coach in the NHL. And I just don't think his style works. I just don't think he's a good bench strategist. I don't think he's good at managing the team over the course of the season. I don't think he develops young players very well. I just don't think John Hines is a very good coach. And so I keep talking about how I think these things are all independent. Robby Stanley's like, it's the roster. And I'm like, I think it's the roster, but I also think it's the coach. And I do think that a new coach would do better with this roster because when the team wasn't gassed out from playing this style of hockey, they were going toe-to-toe with Colorado. Now, I don't think they would have won in a 7-game series against them, but I don't think they would have gotten swept. And so that's the thing that gets me worked up is John Hines hasn't won anything. Like, we went over this earlier today. He won, I got it right here, U.S. Under-18 National Team Gold in 2006. Other than that, he has no other trophies. He doesn't have an AHL trophy. He doesn't have any NHL trophies. He doesn't have a division trophy. He hasn't won anything. So why do I have to sit there and say, when people are like, he's a good coach, why do I have to say, well, other than the fact that he hasn't won anything, yeah. He's won, I think he was 150, 159, and 45 in New Jersey. And they started out, according to this ESPN article from December 3rd of 2019, they started Fire Hines chants at the Prudential Center. So, I'm sorry. What do we have in our text line? 615-737-1025. And if I haven't said it, our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com.
Ethan texts in and says, real quick, actually asked a question that I asked you before the show.
Okay.
Says, what's the last home run trade, free agent, or extension that Poyle made? I don't count Duchesne because he started with the 2 bad years. It's not recent. That should mean something.
Okay.
Right?
So, Ethan, hold on for about 5 minutes because I have here, printed from ESPN.com, every transaction the Predators have made between 2017 and 2022. And we're not going to go over all of them. We're going to go over the big ones, the foundational ones. So, recalled Anders Lind back from Milwaukee and sent UC Saros to Milwaukee. That we're not going over that. But, for instance, trading for Kyle Turris, we are going over because it is astounding. One quick one. What's next?
Jacob texts in and says, Poyle has put this team between a rock and a hard place, but I unfortunately have no faith in this ownership to take control.
I told you. I do. I don't know these guys that well, but I know them better than you all do. And I believe in them. And I believe in Sean Henry. And I'm telling you, I believe in the organization. And I'll say this. If I didn't believe in the organization, and I don't believe in Poyle and I don't believe in Hines, if I didn't believe in the higher-ups to get it right, because they took we were about to lose our team, and they turned it into something, that everybody around the country was marveling at when they were winning and the fan support. If I didn't have faith in them, I would not be a season ticket holder. So that's the one thing that I will tell you guys. Now, Poyle and the moves, the trades, the big ones. And I promise this, we will be fair. This is not let's go over all of David's bad moves and not highlight the good ones. We went over all of them. Mm-hmm. So let's do this coming up next, 615-737-1025. And I'm going to say this. You all be the judge. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Take us wherever you may go.
There is going to be a whole lot of work going on.
Shoot us in anywhere, anytime.
I think he has some big play in him.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now, 615-576-5000.
The Ainsworth Nashville has been bringing a sophisticated twist to the classic all-American sports bar, restaurant, and private event experience in Midtown since 2018. Our multi-purpose venue consists of a full-scale restaurant, bar and lounge, and event space. Come for the wings, stay for our happy hour, and visit us for brunch on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We've got the good times to keep you singing all night long. The Ainsworth Nashville. Burgers, cocktails, sports.
Visit the Ainsworth at 206 21st Avenue South in Nashville or online at theainsworth.com.
The NBA playoffs are getting wild, folks, and you can make every game feel like Game 7 on FanDuel Sportsbook, an official partner of the NBA. Joe Rexrode here to let you know that throughout these playoffs, all customers can place a no-sweat same-game parlay each week. You get up to $20 in free bets if you don't win. FanDuel has a lot of ways to play. When you win, you get paid faster than a fast break, safe, secure, easy. In these playoffs, man, Warriors Grizzlies has been something else. I know the Warriors look like maybe they have the edge right now, but I think that one still has some twists and turns ahead. Of course, a lot to do with Ja Morant's health. If you're new to FanDuel, just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, sign up promo code Joe102, get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Again, that's promo code Joe102. And if you already have an account, you're all set to bet. No sweat. Either way, you get up to $20 in free bets if your same-game parlay during the playoffs doesn't win. FanDuel Sportsbook, an official partner of the NBA. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Makes free bet $20 per week. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
The Gallatin Hotel is a vibrant and charming boutique hotel tucked into East Nashville and was voted the #1 boutique hotel in East Nashville by TripAdvisor. Not only is the Gallatin unique by design, but they also give away the majority of their profits to those who need it most and provides beds, food, and supplies to Nashville's underserved communities and those experiencing homelessness. Just one more reason to love your stay at the Gallatin. Visit thegallatinhotel.com to book your stay now. The Gallatin Hotel. It's good vibes only.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $69.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, with Darren, Donick, and Chase middays from 10 to 2.
Talk amongst themselves. It's not a star-studded group. They're not all there.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025. The game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios, reacting to the Predators being eliminated in 4 games by the Colorado Avalanche. So I have said today, I think it is time for a change. It is time for David Poile to be relieved of his duties, although they can couch it, say it, name it however they want. And I think it is time for John Hines to be fired as the head coach. I think both deserve it on their own merits, and I think that Hines probably deserves it because he hasn't coached very well, and I think Poile deserves it because he hasn't made a lot of good moves, and I also think that Poile hasn't helped Hines, and that Poile should be fired because of his faith in Hines. So I think it all kind of plays one in the other. But this is your exercise. So I went through today, and I pulled off ESPN all of the Predators transactions between 2017, the Cup final, and now. Now, there are some really random transactions on here. Placed Harry Zolnarchuk on injured reserve or called Pontus Aberg from AHL Milwaukee. So we're going to skip over the random ones.
Okay.
So we're only going to talk about the big foundational moves. And I think that the ones that involve new players or getting rid of players are more important than, say, signing your own players. But we'll still discuss them.
Okay.
So let's go back to 2017. The Predators get to the Cup final. The Predators lose to the Penguins. Mike Fisher retires. That's not his fault. First big move. Signed Victor Arvidsson to a 7-year contract. Now, it was at $4.25. And at the time, I'm like, how can you sign this guy to a 7-year contract? He had one good year. And, he's a 30-goal scorer. Victor Arvidsson played 4 years on the 7-year contract. He averaged 22 goals, 19 assists, and 41 points a season over the course of the 4 years that he played for the Predators, 249 games. In the playoffs, 25 games, 8 goals, 4 assists, 12 points. So a half a point, basically, a game in the playoffs. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Arvidsson was a good player. His size ultimately caught up to him. They probably never should have committed 7 years to him. But they dumped him, and they didn't, they didn't have to eat salary.
$4.25 for that production, I don't hate it.
July 28th, signed Ryan Johansson to an 8-year contract. I mean, this contract was an albatross. The first year was fine. Ever since then, it has constantly been something that has been discussed as a bad deal. And last year, they begged for Seattle to take Johansson. And even right now, if somebody would take Johansson off your hands, I think you'd probably do it. And I'm not sure he had a point in this playoff series against Colorado. So, I mean, I think you have to say, again, it's up to you. But
you could also look at it like he's been a core player. He's been kind of an anchor on this team.
But every time you talk about the disappointments of this team over the last 3-4 years,
Ryan Johansson is one of them.
He's been kind of atop the list. November 5th, Kyle Turris for Sam Girard, Vladislav Kamenev, and a second-round pick in 2018. That went to both Colorado and Ottawa in a weird 3-way deal in which Colorado shipped Matt Duchene to Ottawa, and Colorado got Sam Girard and Bowen Byram, who was a defenseman in this past series for Colorado. He was the 4th overall pick, I believe, in 2019. The Predators will pay Kyle Turris, who they bought out after 2020. They signed Turris immediately to a 6-year, $36 million deal. They will pay Turris, who they bought out, until 2027. So he will be on the books until 2027. Kyle Turris had 29 goals, 67 assists, and 96 points for the Predators. Meanwhile, Sam Girard, who is still on Colorado's team, has had 21 goals, 120 assists, and 140 points. Turris with 8 more goals, though he is a forward. 8 more goals, 53 less assists, 44 less points, and that doesn't count the pick they gave up and the money they spent, the $36 million plus the buyout on Turris.
Bad trade.
Probably not a very good trade. Let's go to 2018. So the Predators end up losing in 2018, or they end up, this was the President's Trophy year, and the Predators traded a first-round pick and a fourth-round pick and Victor Edgedell, whoever that is, to the Chicago Blackhawks for Ryan Hartman and a fifth-round pick. So a first, a fourth, and some prospect I've never heard of for Hartman and a fifth. A first for Ryan Hartman. 85 games with the Predators, 13 goals, 13 assists, 26 points.
Bad trade.
In the playoffs, 9 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, and he got suspended 1 game again in the Colorado series.
Bad trade.
Ryan Hartman, not a good trade. Now, they did sign Ellie Tolvanen and Tanner Jeannot to entry-level contracts. And, Jeannot at least
That's a bright
had a
side.
good year. So I'm not necessarily going to count that as a major move as an undrafted free agent, but go ahead and
But you got
put it
something
in
out
there.
of it. You got production out of it.
So that was 2018. So then they lose and they decide to run it back the next year. And they turn around and they sign Ryan Ellis to an 8-year contract extension. Under the new contract, Ryan Ellis played in 83 games for the Predators. He had 56 points. Now he's a defenseman. The Predators did not win a single postseason series with Ryan Ellis on the roster, and they spent $13 million and got nothing for him in return.
Not great.
Not good, in my opinion. But again, you all be the judge. 2019, Predators, again, run it back. They decide. Signed Roman Josi to an 8-year contract. So 8 years, 9+, but they gave their first ever skater a full no-movement clause by doing it in the deal for Roman Josi. I think it's a good deal, but again, it's keeping one of your players that you already had. Anybody in the league would have signed Josi to a contract extension, but good deal.
But they did it.
Good deal. Traded PK Subban to the New Jersey Devils. This was on June 22nd. Traded PK Subban with Adam Helawaka to the New Jersey Devils for a second-round pick, Jeremy Davies, and Steve Santini. Santini was waived before that started the season. Jeremy Davies is still like a Milwaukee bottom roster fodder guy that has yet to catch on in the NHL. PK Subban has absolutely fallen apart for the Devils. They signed Matt Duchene 7 years, $65 million on July 1, 2019. How do we feel about Duchene? It's 7 years, $56 million.
You could say in the first couple of years of his contract, dramatically underachieved. But think about where this team would be without Duchene this year.
But think about this. They allowed Seattle the opportunity to take those 40 goals if they wanted them.
But 40 goals along with a massive contract.
Sure. But if, again, this time last year, we'd say, bad.
Yeah, this time last year, we'd say, take him, Seattle.
But you can argue that the Duchene move was a good move. But you really can't. I think
in
with
2022,
you can argue that it was a neutral move.
Yes, I think that he's kind of treading water because he underachieved in the first couple of years of his contract, and now I would say lived up to, if not even maybe overachieved his contract this year. So net, 0.
Trade deadline 2019, they acquired Brian Boyle for draft picks, Wayne Simmons for a 4th-round pick, and Ryan Hartman. And in those, Boyle had 5 points for the team, 2 assists in the playoffs. And Wayne Simmons had 3 points and was a healthy scratch for most of that playoff series against Dallas.
Not great.
This is a biggie. On February 25th, 2019, acquired forward Mikhail Granlund from Minnesota for forward Kevin Fiala and then obviously Wayne Simmons. But Fiala for Granlund. Kevin Fiala has played 215 games for the Minnesota Wild. In those 215 games, he has 79 goals, 107 assists, and 186 points. Mikhail Granlund has played 5 less games, 210 games, 42 goals, 84 assists, and 126 points. Granlund has 37 less goals, 23 less assists, 60 less points. Over that time period, Fiala has made $11.28 million from Minnesota, Mikhail Granlund has made $20.46 million from the Predators plus 16.
And counting. On to the next.
Not sure that was truly a great move.
But the thing is, Granlund is a good player and has contributed to this team. But when you look at the alternative, when you look at what you gave up to get it, that's what makes it frustrating.
Last year was rather quiet. They signed Granlund to a one-year deal, and they signed Erik Haula to a one-year deal. But they didn't move him at the deadline. They fired Peter Laviolette on January 6th. They hired John Hines on January 7th. I think when you go back to what they were saying at the press conference in 2020, they were expecting John Hines to turn them back into a competitor. Make of that what you will. 2021, the Nashville Predators signed goalie UC Saros to a 4-year contract. They needed that. Saros had proven it.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad at the end of the day.
Good move.
Not bad at the end of the day. They traded Ryan Ellis to the Philadelphia Flyers in exchange for Cody Glass and Philip Myers. They are both technically on the roster. Glass spent most of this year at Milwaukee, and Myers was waived and at one point brought back to the Predators.
I mean, not getting a lot out of him.
Victor
Expected
Arvidsson,
a lot out of him.
Victor Arvidsson traded in exchange for 2 draft picks.
Could have gotten more for him.
So, other than signing their own guys, Yossi, which we think is good, Saros, which we think is good, Sissons, I highlighted it, but I didn't really spend much time talking about it. 7-year deal for Sissons at $2 million a crack.
It's not a massive deal. It's a long deal, but it's not a massive deal.
It's fine.
And Colton Sissons is fine.
And that was a deal that really allowed them to get a contract that Seattle would like. So if they had to expose Sissons, then they would. And again, but that's not the same as Kyle Turris.
No.
And what they lost in Sam Girard. That's not the same as what they lost in Kevin Fiala. I mean, Granlund's one of their better players. And Granlund has massively underperformed Fiala.
And that's what makes it bad, is when you compare it to the alternative of Kevin Fiala.
So what do you make of it? 615-737-1025. How many moves did we say were like fundamentally good moves that they made in that?
Maybe 3.
Yossi,
Saros. And there was one that we thought was like, okay.
We said that Duchesne was neutral. PK salary dump was probably neutral.
Yeah.
But again, to have a PK Subban on your team and get nothing in return for him, that's not good. Even if it's like, well, PK was declining and a good general manager sees those things before they happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. Your reaction to the David Poile transaction log, again, the big ones. There's all these little ones we could go into, Nick Bonino or Colin Wilson or whatever. But again, Arvidsson was kind of a neutral move.
I think Arvidsson was the one. 4.5. That's
whatever.
Not a bad contract. You got a couple picks in return for him. Not great, but neutral.
So a bunch of neutral moves. A Yossi contract, which probably anybody would have signed him to.
A Saros contract.
A Saros contract where you had to have a goalie.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of bad ones. Turris deal was bad. Fiala deal was bad. Boyle and Simmons at the deadline were bad. Hartman at the deadline the year before, bad. And you be the judge. 615-737-1025. Your reactions to those moves were right to them next. 615-737-1025. And then the other gamble that David Poile took that I think people will try to convince you was not a bad gamble, I think it has blown up on them. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company right here. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 5, join us for Jared versus Joe as they debate all of the big topics in sports, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Mayweather Boxing and Fitness on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Mild this evening with a bit of patchy fog that'll be possible. We'll look for increasing clouds as well. It could yield a stray shower early Wednesday morning. Looking at a partly cloudy sky for the afternoon, highs in the upper 80s. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
From elegant to contemporary, Social Furniture has it all. And right now, get no interest financing on any purchase through Memorial Day. Save hundreds, even thousands on top brand name bedroom suites, living room and dining sets. Thousands of combinations in stock, ready for immediate delivery. All colors and styles are designer brand names such as Woodhouse, Sealy, Serta, Kincaid, Bernhardt, Stearns & Foster, and Bassett. Shop local, shop social. Social Furniture opens 7 days a week on the west side on Charlotte Avenue in the Richland Creek Shopping Center.
Realizing Geico's great service and licensed agents are available at your fingertips is like realizing the plastic piece that comes with your pizza isn't a tiny doll table. It's to keep the box from touching the pizza.
Hey, the pizza's stuck to the box. Where's that little plastic thing?
Dolly needed it for her tea party.
It's something that's been right there in front of you all along, like the dedicated Geico claims team available to you in the event of an accident to get you back on the road quickly, or how your smartphone charges faster when you put it on airplane mode.
Wow, what if I put it on rocket mode?
It's something you can't believe you never realized before, like how Geico's industry-leading app lets you pay your bill, file a claim, manage your policy, or summon help when you need it. Or how those holes in your shower caddy are there so you can store your shampoo bottles upside down.
Showers happen fast when you're not waiting on shampoo.
Great service. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
Empire Auto Parts has opened a brand new location in Nashville, Tennessee. They're hosting a hiring event with giveaways, sign-on bonuses, and more happening at Holiday Inn Express at the Crossings, 201 Crossings Place, May 16th through 20th from 9 a.m. to noon or 2 to 5. Empire Auto Parts offers hourly pay, full benefits, 401k matching, and more. Current job openings for warehouse associate, delivery drivers, customer service agents, account managers, and dispatchers. Apply now on Indeed at Empire Auto Parts Inc. Jobs or visit their website at EmpireAutoParts.com.
There are jewelry stores, and then there's Genesis Diamonds, the cutting-edge industry leader, the pioneer. It's no secret that jewelry stores across America watch what Genesis is doing. Genesis was the first to offer a free lifetime warranty, the first to offer a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee, the first to offer aggressive long-term zero-interest financing. And Genesis is always on the cutting edge in design and fashion. The styles other jewelers say are new and exciting were new and exciting for us 4 years ago. Genesis has the fashion-forward brands other stores aren't even allowed to carry. It's no wonder you see jewelers from other cities coming to Genesis to see what we're all about, and even buy their wives' jewelry from us. For selection, quality, service, warranties, and guarantees, Genesis leads. Others follow. So for diamonds, engagement rings, exclusive designer jewelry for any occasion, don't compromise. Come to the jeweler that sets the industry standards year after year. Genesis Diamonds and pre-owned Rolexes, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Attention, buckaroos! It's time for the Franklin Rodeo, so saddle up and hold on to your lasso. It's 3 days of bull riding, calf roping, western wear, funny clowns, and some of the most talented horses you've ever seen. Join the Stampede from May 19th to May 21st. The Franklin Rodeo is held at the Williamson County Ag Expo Park and is brought to you by Franklin, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Williamson Medical Center, Wesley Mortgage, and Event 1FX. Tickets on sale now at franklinrodeo.com. It's a buckin' good time.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Your first full season as the head coach here. What do you take away from this year?
Well, it was really nice to be able to have a full season and really get to know the players and have from training camp through the regular season. And, I think you understand how special a place it is. And for me personally, it was just how special this group was.
There you go. That was John Hines on his first full season. Last year wasn't a full season. The year before that was, okay.
I mean, that's true.
Ish.
But it's not an argument in John Hines' favor.
No. And when you look at it, and again, take aside, what the roster's like or whatever, I do not believe John Hines has earned a fourth season on this bench. Or second full season, I do not think he has earned that. I go back to the resume with John Hines. When he got hired, he as coach of the Predators, he came in with a 150, 159, and 45 record through parts of 4 seasons in New Jersey because he got fired in the middle of the 4th season. New Jersey loaded up to go for it at the start of the 2019 season. They started off 0-4. John Hines coached in the minor leagues where he had a much better record, and he won some playoff series, but never any championships. His biggest accomplishment is the gold medal in 2006 at the U.S. under-18 national team, which I hate to break it to you, but I don't care about the U.S. national team under 18. That's the best thing he's got.
I mean, what year was it?
2006. What year in school were you in 2006?
2006, I think I was in 3rd grade.
Okay.
I was 9 years old.
So that's his best accomplishment, and that's what you got right there. And when he came in, I looked at the resume, and I'm thinking, Peter Laviolette, Barry Trotz. His resume wasn't very good, and I asked David Poyle about that resume. Here's what David Poyle said the day that they hired him.
As I said, I think John is one of the best young coaches in the game, up and coming, and I think his resume is just getting built. And, we're, with New Jersey, can't, and I don't want to go into their situation, but they were in a way different place than we were. I'm thinking that we're getting John just at the right time, where he's coached at the college, the U.S. program, in the minors, all these things, and he's got a base in the National Hockey League. And we talked about these things. There's things that I'm sure he would say that he would do different again, and now he's got the chance to do it with a different team. Our age, our competitiveness is way different than the New Jersey Devils. So I think we've got the best young coach that's out there on the rise. He's just getting into the prime of his career.
That doesn't sound like somebody whose expectation is 3 playoff wins in 3 seasons.
No.
And so
I don't know how that could be anyone's expectation for a new head coach.
Well, especially when you're saying, I don't want to get into New Jersey's problem, but, we're not rebuilding. We are ready to go, and we
think that he is the person that can get us there.
3 playoff wins in 3 years. 3 playoff wins. Like in the NFL, 3 playoff wins in 3 years isn't the greatest. But
not terrible.
But this is the NHL. Peter Laviolette already has more wins in Washington right now.
You get at least 4 cracks at it every year.
And I don't think I don't think anybody would say he's one of the best young coaches in the league.
Over the past 3 years, there aren't enough wins to even win a singular playoff series.
And then I go back to all the moves that we just went over. Was it a good move to sign Ryan Ellis to an 8-year deal and get 83 games out of him and then ship him off and pay $13 million? Was it good for Fiala to completely outperform Granlund at half the cost? Those kind of questions. But to hire a coach with a team you think can compete and then not win, that's a big risk. Mm-hmm. And when you take a big risk and the big risk doesn't succeed, in my opinion, you are culpable. And in sports, we know what that means. You lose your job.
And that's what you understand. And you know when you work in sports that when you make those big, bold decisions, you understand that your job is on the line. It's when you do them anyways because you believe in them. And you can't just make teeny tiny little moves here and there just to protect your job because you don't want to make those big, bold moves because that's not how you win.
Let's go to your phones. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. John is up next and has been waiting patiently. Go ahead, John.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
All right, anyway. I want to switch it off. Talk about the goaltending and the future of goaltending.
Why do we care about that today?
Because in the long term, it matters.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, who's the best goalie in the league right now?
The best goalie in the league is arguably Saros.
No, the best goalie in the league is the dude in New York. Guess who they're playing? Pittsburgh. Guess who Pittsburgh's got in net? A third stringer. Guess who's up 3-1? Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you're right about that.
John, thank you for your call. Let's go to Luther, who's up next here on the program. Go ahead, Luther.
Whoa. Did I hear what I just thought I just heard, Jared?
Please get to your take, Luther.
Okay, question. What do you think the biggest gamble was, and do you think maybe they could have gotten something for Turris or a couple of other guys that have basically hamstrung this team cap-wise to get depth on both the big league and minor league levels so we can have at least a pipeline for this team?
That's a really good question about, and I appreciate your call, Luther, about what was the biggest gamble Poyle took. And that's it's easy to say the coach, right? Like, it's easy to say you replace the winning coach with a guy who's got nothing on his resume, but you stand behind him and you believe him because your buddies in New Jersey tell you he's a good coach, even though at the time that you hired him, the general manager in New Jersey said on record that, according to this ESPN article from December of 2019, Ray Shero went to Devils ownership with the recommendation to relieve Hines of his duties, and they signed off on it. The timing seems awkward, but not nearly as awkward as it would have been to have an arena of fans amplify the Fire Hines chants that had started echoing through the Prudential Center. That's a risk. Now, from the roster standpoint, that's so tough, man. I mean, I would say the Ellis contract was the biggest risk because
It's a big contract.
Well, not only that, it was what Ryan Ellis's value to the rest of the league was at that point. At that point, Ryan Ellis probably gets you 2 prospects and a first-round pick and maybe even a second first-round pick. So you really had a chance at something. And maybe those picks wouldn't have developed in anything, and maybe those prospects would have been something. But the Predators did not acquire a single legitimate high-end prospect in return for a PK Subban trade, a Victor Arvidsson trade, and a Ryan Ellis trade. And that's just not a good trip to the middle of your order. And I understand, at the time, and this is something that I get worked up about when people say, well, the Arvidsson and Ellis moves were good moves last year. In that moment in time, they were good. Just like if Forsberg's demands for this new contract are absolutely through the freaking roof, then you would be better off to let Forsberg walk than you would be to, let's say he's demanding $10 million a year for 8 years and a full no movement clause.
That's too much.
You're better off letting him walk.
But then you let him walk for nothing.
And the whole situation was incredibly mismanaged. And that's the problem. That's the problem, is that they let it get there. So to me, I think the Ellis thing, here's the thing about Ellis. I never thought Ellis was that good. I always thought Ellis was a solid second-pair defenseman. The first year that I was covering the team, Shea Weber and Roman Josi were the first pair, and they were freaking unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And then you had Ekholm and Ellis behind them, and they were good. Then they made the trade for PK, and David Poyle said it that he thought that PK and Ekholm would have been a better fit. And after about a week of Josi and Subban, it was PK and Ekholm and Ellis and Josi. Well, the shutdown there in the 2017 playoffs were Ekholm and Subban, and they were outstanding. And so Ellis was more on your second group. What Ellis did was he had that beautiful one-timer from the point, and he was really good. Like Alexander Carrier struggles with this when he's paired with Josi. Mm-hmm. Josi's going up and down the ice all the time, and Carrier wants to do it, but he's not as good. Ellis was more like kind of, stay back a little bit and let Roman go up and do his thing, and Ellis was good at that. But Ellis got hurt in the 2017 Cup final. Really bad knee injury, had to have knee surgery, didn't come back till later. He was hurt. He had been hurt on and off. He's a little guy. They used to always say, I used to hear Willie say that if Ellis was a couple of inches taller, then he would have been the first pick in the draft, not the 9th pick in the draft or whatever. And I'm like, but he's not.
He's not.
And that's why the little guys get hurt. Arvidsson gets hurt. Ellis gets hurt. So you could see the potential there. I think he was 27 or 28 when they signed him. So you're talking about an 8-year deal. Now you're in the mid-30s. And just what was out there, you knew you were going to be up against the cap because you knew that all these guys were coming due. And that's where and again, you could say the Turris deal. I think the Turris deal is the worst trade in the history of the team. You can say the Turris deal was the riskiest. You can look at the straight results of the Granlund for Fiala, and you took Fiala in the first round and you gave up on him and he's flourished somewhere else with your minor league coach as their head coach. You can look at that. But I'm going to go with the Ellis contract. And I mean, the Johansson contract was bad, and the Duchesne contract now is neutral. But I'm going to go with the Ellis contract because of what you could have had in exchange for Ellis, what you committed to Ellis, and I think your commitment to Ellis has now made Philip Forsberg want trade protection because he doesn't want to be shipped out like Ryan Ellis, who felt like he took less money at a longer term with a no trade protection because he thought he was going to be in Nashville.
And the return for Ellis as well.
And the return for Ellis sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Arvidsson with picks, those guys could be good players.
Mm-hmm.
Glass and Myers, they're never going to be, impact players. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We are right back to your phones next. It's Stillman and Company right here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Want the latest on the Predators from the people that cover them?
Heck of a year so far for the Predators. They've been so much fun to watch.
Join Robby Stanley for Preds Insiders every Monday at 6.
I feel probably as good about this group of 6 on D.
Presented by Dr. Kelly Rice on Smashville's Best Sports Talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Now through May 10th, join a clean and spacious Planet Fitness for $1 down and only $10 a month. With tons of equipment and free fitness training, it's the perfect place for everybody to work out.
Even me, Mr. I can't sleep at night, so I keep dozing off during the day.
Especially you, Snoozy. You'll rest easier and feel fit-tacular.
Wait, how did you get in here?
Join in club or at planetfitness.com. $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends May 10th. See club for details.
1 week only. Electronic Express has massive sales on Overstock, Open Box, demos, and scratch and dent products in every department. 4K TVs, appliances, computers, housewares, smart home, and more. We have deals on all of your appliances and electronics needs. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Find a store near you at electronicexpress.com. Locally owned and operated. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe here to tell you about Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. Dr. Rice, listen, we all have cavities, but what's the best way to try and keep them from happening?
Cavities are like any other health condition. You don't really know you have one until it gets bad. Recently, I saw a patient for treatment that they had been putting off. Something that could have been simple to fix 6 months ago turned out to need a root canal and a crown. Postponing treatment costs more and takes time away from work.
Nobody wants a root canal, so you're right. Regular checkups are very important.
Well, we do things differently. I want to let people know that if they're afraid of pain or worried about the cost, they are not alone. Don't be embarrassed. We understand. Give us a call at 615-373-4488. That's kellyerice.com.
Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. If you don't have dental insurance, no problem. Be sure to join their membership club. Just visit kellyerice.com or call 615-373-4488 now to schedule your cleaning and checkup. You'll certainly be glad you did.
Nashville's Anheuser-Busch distributor, Ajax Turner Company, is hiring Class A drivers and driver trainees who will obtain their Class A license through the company's very own driver training and testing program for free. Be home every day and off on weekends while earning competitive wages and receiving benefits like medical and life insurance, paid time off, 401k, and supplemental insurance programs. Apply at ajaxturner.com/career or call 615-280-3904. Anheuser-Busch reminds you to drink responsibly.
Zines First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good. Really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Thursday night.
Welcome to the NFL.
Ready to make your NFL travel plans? Tune in for the NFL schedule release special as experts go around the league for analysis on each team.
And those are two fascinating teams.
With the superior defense, he's got weapons.
Including the Tennessee Titans.
There is a lot riding on this season for Ryan Tannehill and the Titans.
Coverage begins at 7 on Nashville's Best Sports Talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's Best Sports Talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
And then Fungo down in the center circle. Forsberg to Duchesne. Duchesne left side. Ekholm. Forsberg scores! Ekholm from low in the left circle found Forsberg in front, and the Predators have their first lead of the night.
So that was Philip Forsberg's last playoff goal, maybe with the Nashville Predators, but today is the locker cleanout day, and unlike Ryan Tannehill, Philip Forsberg has met with the Nashville media. We actually have the 8 minutes and 40 seconds of audio. Now, you know how I feel. about players and what they say.
You don't like it.
Well, because it's a waste of time. Unless it's, like a Tannehill press conference where he hasn't talked in 4 months. Derrick Henry press conferences, Derrick Henry talks, but Derrick Henry says
Derrick
nothing.
Henry doesn't really say a lot.
And Forsberg's in the middle of a negotiation. So Elijah's going to go, kind of sneak through that and kind of see what's in there and what nuggets are important for us. And we will, because it is important to hear them. But here you go. Joe Rexrode tweets out, Forsberg says, quote, the goal is to come back here, end quote. Now, see, that's important because I feel like, guys that don't want to come back, now maybe he's using it to tell, a team that can only offer 7 years to get your 7 years up because I'll take the 8 there or something like that. But, normally, like we've seen when guys don't want to be there anymore and you know it, and he's not.
They're incredibly non-committal.
Joe tweets, Forsberg also says he thought negotiations were making progress up to the trade deadline, then were basically paused. He didn't make much of the longer lap after last night's game. Okay, I'm sure he didn't make much after the long lap after last night's game. Chase says that Adam Vingan asked him straight up if he wanted back, and he said yes. But, again, it's the middle of a negotiation. I think this all comes down to trade protection to me. And as I said earlier today, I think you all care a lot more about Philip Forsberg and his contract than I do. Because I think he's a good player, and I think if you lose him, then you have to go find another good player. But I think you can find another good player. But he's not Connor McDavid. And that's the kind of player that I feel like this team, like if you're going to get your, undergarments in a wad over losing somebody, to me, it's going to be when you lose a McDavid or you lose, one of those kind of players. Like when you trade Taylor Hall, like the way that the Devils traded what they got, I think it was Nugent Hopkins was what they got the deal with Edmonton. When you do that, like that is a bad deal. But
I think fans look at it like if you lose Philip Forsberg, it's not like you're just going to get a Connor McDavid or a Nathan McKinnon in return for it.
So you take his 40 goals off this team, you probably do stink.
Yes.
So that I understand. So when we have that, we will get to that. 615-737-1025, though. I did promise phones. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. What do we have in our text line, Caroline?
Craig texts in and says, Poyle has done more for this franchise than arguably anybody, but as a day one Preds fan, as a season ticket holder since 2016, it's time for some fresh blood in the front office and some new eyes on the team because our coach and a lot of our players just aren't cutting it.
So I would say this. Just because it's time to move on doesn't mean that a guy didn't do a good job.
Oh, yeah. I go back to breaking up in a relationship, for example. I appreciate you, and we had so much fun together.
You do want those to be like death till you part, though.
What do you mean?
Like, you do want those relationships to be like from until death we part.
Well, yes, but if you break up with someone just because you've gotten to the point where we no longer work anymore, thanks for everything, had a great time, but we just can't do it anymore, and I think that's okay.
I just think it's like in any job. Like, at some point, either you outgrow the job or the job outgrows you. Like, very rarely.
And it doesn't take away from your accomplishments or the things that you learned or contributed in that job. But it just means moving forward, it's a square peg in a round hole.
And with Poyle, I think the game's past him. I think the game has passed him. What he used to value doesn't matter as much now. His biggest weakness is drafting and developing forwards and evaluating forwards, and that's the key to winning in the NHL now. And I think Poyle spins a lot of false narratives. And and for me, I just think it's time. I think it's time. And the false narratives, people buy them. I got all these people. I used to call Pred's Twitter a cesspool, and
jeez,
I got in trouble for that.
That's
and so I used to call them that because, God, everything they used to get mad at me about. Anytime I was critical about anything. Like, they traded a first-round pick for Ryan Hartman. I've told the story. Like, Poyle was reigning general manager of the year. They had been to the Cup final. They were the best team in the league. And I saw that they traded for Ryan Hartman. And I'm like, I remember him from the Chicago series last year. He sucks. And then I was at my I was in an apartment at the time, and I was brushing my teeth. And I saw that the compensation was a first-round pick. And I literally had the toothbrush in my mouth. First-round pick! And, I lost my freaking marbles.
I'm sure you did.
And, boy, people got mad at me. They were like, Hal Gill thinks it's a good trade. I'm like, okay. So those people have always not liked me. Well, so many people that have not liked me for years are like, man, I actually agree with Jared Stillman, and I can't believe it. I mean, my goodness. And that, to me, is a belief that the false narratives that have been spun, the fans are no longer listening to. We like Cody Glass. This guy, he was a high pick. We'll turn him around. They're like,
well, after a while, whenever you keep getting promised something over and over again and it doesn't get delivered, then you stop believing those promises.
Here's the Forsberg audio, by the way, of the questions. And it is better to hear it, than it is to read it. But apparently this is the Forsberg audio about wanting to stay a Predator.
Philip, as you consider your future, how much or how important is the direction of this team moving forward? I mean, how much are you taking that into consideration along with everything else?
Yeah, no, a lot. I mean, obviously I've been fortunate enough to be on this team for a long time now and made the playoffs every year. But at the same time, every player plays to win the Stanley Cup, and so do I. That's my biggest goal, and I do believe that we have a team that can make that in the future. And like you said, I think that's the direction that a team has to be heading, and I think we are.
I understand, Philip, that negotiation has to happen, but all things being equal, do you want to be back here?
Yeah, I mean that's like you said. I've said that since day one. The goal is to come back here, and the business side is completely different than the on-ice side, as you guys are aware of, and just kind of have to wait and see and play it out. There's been obviously some progression throughout the season from where we started in September, and I mean, we're obviously, me and my agent and David and Brian and the management are going to be an ongoing conversation and a process, and we'll just have to see where we end.
Okay. Now, I'd say this. Let's keep those negotiations paused, and let's get somebody else in on the other side of the table. Let's go to Ryan, who's been waiting patiently and is up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Ryan.
No problem. Honestly, it's time for him to go. He's been treating his team like it's a family, and it's time for him to go. He got rid of Lavalette, which you and I both love, for Hines, who's his best friend from USA Hockey. It's like he just wants to be one big family instead of realizing this is a business, and it's time to actually win and not just say, hey, let's just all be one big happy family. If we lose in the first round, it's okay. We'll just all be back together next year and do the same thing over. He's okay with mediocrity, and it's time for a change in the front office. And I don't mean go and leave him and hire his son as a GM. I'm talking about fresh blood, and then let the new GM hire a coach.
So I agree with that end of it. Thank you for your call, Ryan. I agree with that. It is time for David Poile to go. However you want to couch it, however you want to call it, whatever you want it to be represented as, if you want him to be, the special assistant to the ownership committee group or whatever, and when they open a new ice rink out in Laverne and they're out there, with the shovels and you want him with a hard hat on, knock yourself out. Like that, yes, go ahead. But not picking the players, not trading the players, not negotiating with Philip Forsberg and his agent. I agree with that. I don't think that David Poile is malicious in terms of not wanting to win. I don't think that David is sitting there when he puts his team together and says, I don't care if we win or not. I don't think he operates like that.
I don't think you can.
I just don't think that I just don't think that he's good enough to get this team to a point to where they are going to win. And I just don't see the path. If you were to say, and this is where, again, trying to make people feel, this is what I mean when people say they have to have hard decisions. Mm. Like, we have to make hard decisions in business. Like, it's not a hard decision to fire a bad employee, right?
Right.
It's not a hard decision to give a raise to somebody who is doing a great job and is bringing in way more than what you're paying them.
True.
It's a hard decision when you have a really tenured employee and you know how much they mean to you in the fabric of what you're doing, and it's time to move on. A.J. Brown's a hard decision, but it's a decision the Titans were willing to make. They knew Joe Rexrode was going to scream about it, and he did. By the way, I actually am stunned that the person who liked the Titans move the most by my straw poll was me. But
that is pretty shocking.
It is unbelievably
shocking.
History
would show differently.
Titans on draft night. Usually I don't like what they do. Yeah. That I was fine with. But he can't do it anymore. The results have not added up.
What has changed from 2017 to now?
You want to know the truth? We'll get to that on the other side. 615-737-1025, Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Do you have that one person or thing that just makes you mad? Join us every Friday at noon on the DDC for You Just Made the List. Fueled by Parman Energy. Visit ParmanEnergy.com. your one-stop petroleum solution, and TriStar Moving on the DDC on ESPN 1025 The Game.
You just made the list.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Mild this evening with a bit of patchy fog that'll be possible. We'll look for increasing clouds as well. It could yield a stray shower early Wednesday morning. Looking at a partly cloudy sky for the afternoon, highs in the upper 80s. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face truck today.
Gary Ashton here. I love hearing people say, don't sell without the intel, because it means they're really embracing our message. Now's a great time to sell your home in Nashville, but you need the intel only the Gary Ashton team can provide. Intel that helps you sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel to win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Let everyone else get the same information and compete for the same properties, while you get the intel edge with the Gary Ashton team, the official real estate team for your Tennessee Titans. And if you're looking for a great career, join our team. We added 65 new agents last year, and we want you to join us this year. Remember, don't sell without the intel. And if you're looking for a great career, the Gary Ashton team wants you in 2022. Call 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com today.
If you're shopping for a new home, the last thing you want is another surprise jump in mortgage rates. Hey, Willie Donick here, excited to tell you about Loan Pronto's all-new rate protection program. You get a rate quote that is locked in for 180 days, 6 whole months. Brian and Amy did it. They locked in an APR in the 3s with Loan Pronto. When they finally found a home a month later, rates had jumped into the 4s, but they were protected thanks to Loan Pronto, and they saved over $200 a month on their payment. With Loan Pronto's rate protection guarantee, you can make offers with confidence. And there's no fee for this, no upfront cost. And most home buyers who go with Loan Pronto save about $3,000 in closing costs. Call now for the all-new rate protection program so you can check rate increases off the list of things to worry about. 615-499-5780. or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. 499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval.
The Gallatin Hotel is a vibrant and charming boutique hotel tucked into East Nashville and was voted the #1 boutique hotel in East Nashville by TripAdvisor. Not only is the Gallatin unique by design, but they also give away the majority of their profits to those who need it most and provides beds, food, and supplies to Nashville's underserved communities and those experiencing homelessness. Just one more reason to love your stay at the Gallatin. Visit thegallatinhotel.com to book your stay now. The Gallatin Hotel. It's good vibes only.
If you've been thinking about remodeling your home's kitchen or bath, contact the countertop experts at Smoky Mountain Tops. Willie Donick here, and we installed Smoky Mountain Top surfacing in our kitchen years ago. It's remained durable and super easy to clean up. Smoky Mountain Tops is proud to offer the new prestigious Vidara quartz for your kitchen or bath countertops. Vidara surfaces are ideal for use in almost any interior application. Check out the stunning new Vidara quartz shown at Smoky Mountain Top Studio. Contact the pros at Smoky Mountain Tops. Quality, service, and dedication. Visit SmokyMountainTops.com.
Inside knowledge on the Titans.
Todd Downey's got his notepad out right now, just writing things down.
Inside knowledge on the Predators.
They can go right into the forecheck, and boom, you get a beautiful goal from Colton Sissons.
And then there's a team in Knoxville.
How excited should Tennessee fans be by what they've seen from Josh Heupel in year 1?
Wake up and hang out with Robby and Rexrode. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Stillman and Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. So Roman Yossi meeting with the media. Emily Proud tweeted out, Roman Yossi asked what John Hines brought to this team. Quote, I think he gave us an identity as a team, end quote. To which I replied on Twitter to Emily Proud, what is that identity?
Well, they've never really defined it. A tough team.
No. Like, give me like when they went to the Cup final, they were a defensive team led by their goaltender and their 4 defensemen.
This is a team that intends to play tough and be a really difficult team to play.
Like, you know what the Titans' identity is? Running the football.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's...
Running the football, put pressure on the quarterback.
That's what the Titans do. That's why the Titans win. So, again, they can keep using the buzzwords and the narratives and the things like that, but we all saw. I mean, they're tough. They're physical. They got waxed in 4 games by Colorado. I hate to break it to you, but the way they played in that series, then they played hard. They stunk. They had no business. They were the 16th team in the league. And I don't know that, maybe they give you a trophy for finishing 16th where you're from, but not where I'm from. So you asked me what changed with David Poyle since 2017.
Mm-hmm. How do you end up in the Cup final in 1 year, and then a few years later you can't find your way back?
So David Poyle had made some bad moves, too. Like, it wasn't like every move David Poyle made leading up to that was a good move. The trade deadline move at 2015, where, Lepsic with Vancouver and Olli Jokinen and a first-round pick for Santorelli and Cody Franson. Terrible trade. Terrible. I mean, bad like the Hartman trade, things like that. And that 2015 pick, whoever that could have been, could be helping the team right now. But I think what happened to the Predators was something that I really had to caution you on when the Titans won a game against Buffalo this year.
Mm-hmm.
And Derrick Henry won that game for them. Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown won that game. And that day was like, you got to give this guy credit, and you got to give that guy credit, and you got to give this one. And I'm like, no, caller. You do not have to give this person credit. You catch a ball that's thrown to you, you don't get credit. The quarterback makes a terrible throw, you intercept it, that's doing your job. You one-handed in the end zone, jump a route that no one sees coming, you get credit. What happens is, oftentimes, when a business is successful, we give everybody credit. Oh, you got to give this guy credit, but maybe that guy didn't do anything. The Nashville Predators got to the Cup final in 2017 because of Pekka Rinne. Pekka Rinne played out of his mind. He led this team. They won Game 6 against Anaheim. Without Ryan Johansson and Mike Fisher, Pekka, I believe, stopped 42 shots. The Predators had 16. Like, they won that game.
Then how can you say that goaltending in the playoffs doesn't matter?
Because a goalie can steal a series, and in that one Pekka did, and he did in the Chicago series.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't bank on an elite goaltender playing at his best every time in the series, right?
Probably not.
So, we expect Brady to play his best every week in the NFL at quarterback. Now, Brady's had some bad games, but for the most part, it's a consistent play.
Yeah.
Goalie, you're hot, you're on. Matt Murray won 2 cups, and they shipped his ass out of there. He's in Ottawa now. That's if you got the best goaltender, and if Saros was playing at peak Saros, they probably wouldn't have beaten the Avalanche, but they probably would. This probably goes 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And that is because that's what matters. But they wore Saros out, and you can't be hot for forever. But goaltending is very streaky. The next year in 2018, Rinne was awful. Got pulled twice in the Colorado series, got pulled 3 times in the Winnipeg series. You lost because of Pekka Rinne. Why'd you win the year before? Pekka Rinne. 2017 was the perfect storm. Chicago was arrogant. They had, taken a month off. They were really at the end of their run. Their guys were getting old. Rinne was on fire. The team had something to prove, and they had a great playoff coach. He might not be, he might not win any personality contests. He's a great coach. Mm-hmm. And so it was the perfect storm. Jody is up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Jody.
Hi. I agree with the comment about Poyle, but I'd also say where is the ownership in this? You got to spend money to make money. And they're always trying to do things, to me, on the cheap end.
Like what?
Well, I don't think, you look at our backup goalie situation. Okay, UC's out. How much do we spend for this backup goalies? Backup goalies make probably anywhere between $3 million and on up. And what was our goalie making? I think we got to spend some money to bring some players and some more talent in here.
So I appreciate your call, Jody. I do not think, I could be wrong, but I never looked at backup goalie spending as a problem with this hockey club.
I also didn't see Connor Ingram as being the problem with this series.
Yeah, I me's average. He's a minor league goalie.
He played out of his mind in Game 2.
Yeah,
and you still lost.
But as far as the overall series, it's average.
I thought he played well.
Average backup minor league goalie. And that's fine. You didn't need a backup goalie in 2017 because Pekka Rinne was the man. This team spends money. They spent money on Ellis. They spent money on Johansson. They spent money on Duchesne, on PK Subban, on Shea Weber, on Pekka Rinne. They've spent money. You can't say they don't spend money. They spent money on Kyle Turris. The problem is the appropriation of that money. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the Cleveland Browns, they always spend the most, right? Like, it feels like Jacksonville, people forget, 2019, they had to tear their team down because they were up against that fake cap, and they didn't want to keep any of those players because they knew they stunk, so they sold everybody off. But they spend money. Cleveland right now has an $18 million quarterback that they can't get rid of because they gave a guy $230 million guaranteed. They spend money, but it is spending it appropriately that matters. And so that's the difference there. That's going to do it for us. We are out of here. Again, we got a big Game 5. Sixers and Heat tied 2-2. Joel Embiid, James Harden versus Tyler Hero in the Heat. That's coming up next. Stillman and Company back at you tomorrow at 2.